Following is a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Out wide right with Ladero onto his favorite left foot. Finds Jack McGlynn centrally, just hit the post moments ago. No whistle as Musa got a tug of the jersey. We play on, ball in behind for Julio. Foot race here. Anderson, Julio, past Tarbell, empty net. Anderson, Julio!
Stand, FC Dallas is back on the road to take on the star-studded Los Angeles FC at BMO Stadium, a venue where Dallas has yet to win in Major League Soccer. But the road has been very kind to Eric Quill's side in 2025. The team has earned 16 of its 21 total points away from home in what's been a complete reversal of fortunes from seasons past. They'll look to maintain that road form tonight in the City of Angels against LAFC. Along the lines of the FC Dallas Radio Network, it is the FC Dallas Pregame Show, presented by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Our commentary team for this evening is Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, and they'll join me to break down tonight's contest. First, we bring in Steve Davis for a look at tonight's major headlines. Steve, welcome. First off, how important is maintaining the road form and getting a positive result tonight, with the context being that Dallas is coming off 3 straight home losses?
Well, first of all, hello there, Garrett. Nobody need worry. Sam will be back with us Wednesday. Happy to have you filling in for him, ably as you can do. Road record. I tell you what, man, the road record right now is the only thing that's kind of keeping the season on the rails. And they're doing such a good job on the road. You know, I know we can talk about, home forms and 3 home losses in a row, and that's a different conversation. But right now, 4 wins, 2 losses, and 4 draws on the road. You ask how important is it? Again, this is the only thing, kind of keeping the season together. So, of course, it's important. But if you think about it, Garrett, the last time this team won was at Kansas City. The last time this team had a draw at Cincinnati. So, there's hope that they can sort of get back on track tonight.
Absolutely. And a quick lineup breakdown for FC Dallas. Martin Paz is in net. The back line from right to left is Shaq Moore, Sebastian Nibiaga, Lalas Boubacar, and Marco Farfan. In front of them in the midfield is Ramiro, Patrickson Delgado, and Sebastian Lletget. And the front 3 contains Logan Farrington, Pedrinho, and leading scorer, of course, Petar Musa. Now, Steve, the obvious main point here is that Lucho Acosta, the club's captain, the former MVP, and, of course, the big offseason acquisition, isn't in the starting 11 tonight. What do you think this is? Is this standard rotation, or could it be something more?
I honestly think it might really be something more. Look, there's some reality to face here, Garrett. Reality is that this team has won 1 game in league play since April. You got to let that sink in for a second. The team has gone from 6th to 13th in terms of standing in the West. You got to change something. You can't just kind of keep rolling the same thing out there, just keep running it back. And candidly, there are some positions with FC Dallas, there's just no option. So you've got to keep trying new things. You got to keep trying to change something different. And one of the things that we see lately is that the team's giving away too many goals. 10 goals in 4 games. That's just not good enough. You can't put together a good season that way. Well, Lucho Acosta isn't good at defending. When there are times when offensive players are sort of given the latitude to not have to defend, and that's okay. But if it's not working, then you got to go another way. And, we'll talk about, Pedrinho coming in and maybe what he does. But if you're talking about Lucho Acosta, you have to say that he doesn't defend, and then they've got to defend better. So there's also a sort of a factor that there's a game coming up Wednesday, so there might be a little bit of, some thought to rotation as well. We might see him right back in the lineup Wednesday. But then again, if it works out tonight, maybe we won't see him in the lineup Wednesday.
And you kind of touched on it there in terms of maybe the lack of defensive capabilities of Lucho Acosta. But aside from that, what else does Pedrinho bring to this team that Lucho doesn't in that left wing attacking mid kind of spot?
Well, no, I think you sort of answered your question there. Look, it's when you defend, at the very least, you can really you can have energy, you can have effort out there. And Lucho Acosta is a guy who is traditionally in his career, he's been good enough that he can save his energy for the attacking side of the ball. So when you bring in a young guy like Pedrinho, you're giving him the instruction. You're absolutely telling him, here are your jobs on the attack, but here are your jobs when against the ball too. And we know that with LAFC, we know what they want to do is not have the ball quite as much, and they then they come and they sort of invite you in, and then they hit you on the break. Well, one of the ways you can keep that transition from working for them is with immediate pressure. So if you give the ball away up the field and you don't immediately pressure, well, then you're giving them the opportunity to then play out of the back quickly, get the ball into Boanga and go off to the races. So Pedrinho is somebody who, if he gives the ball away, or if his neighbor, if somebody around him gives the ball away, he's going to be pressuring immediately, which is something that Lucho Acosta just generally doesn't do.
At the start of that answer, in terms of Lucho being on the bench, you kind of thought it might be a little bit more than rotation or a tactical thing. Is there any hint of being a message from head coach Eric Quill, which would, of course, have larger implications on this season for FC Dallas?
That's definitely a question that he would have to answer. But if you're asking me what I suspect so. I was thinking about this. I was talking to you guys about it before we came on the air. I was listening to an interview the other day with Dan Campbell, the Detroit Lions head coach. And, with up there, he's done a really great job of setting culture, setting a really tough culture up there. And I think that's exactly what Eric Quill wanted to come in and do. But then when you have a player like Lucho Acosta who, again, sort of saves his energy for the attack, and, again, that's okay if you can get it done that way. But right now, he's a guy who had how many assists did Lucho Acosta have last year? 20? Did he have 19, 20 assists
19,
last
year?
I think. He's tracking right now for 2. So he's not getting it done on the attack. And then if you're trying to set the culture of, we press, we defend, we go tackle, we win second balls, and you have one guy that's not doing it, it's very difficult. So I think maybe he is trying to set a message and get back to what he wanted to do originally, which was be that kind of team, be that kind of, as we used to say, as we said, earlier this season, to go be dogs. And, Lucho Acosta just isn't a dog that way. And, again, that's okay if you are producing bottom-line quality, bottom-line numbers, production on the attacking end. And right now, the numbers just 5 goals, 1 assist through more than half the season. It's just not there for Lucho.
Looking beyond the starting 11, on the bench, some returnees from injury, the first being Osaze Urugide, of course, the center back who's been in many ways FC Dallas' player of the season. He hasn't played since May 28th when he picked up a hamstring injury, but he is back on the bench alongside Bernard Kamungo, who missed just 1 game with an ankle injury. What do these returns mean, particularly Osaze Urugide, Steve?
Well, I just told you, 10 goals in 4 games, not good enough, and the defending has to improve. And we saw it the other day with a couple of concentration errors. Osaze Urugide is the team's best defender. He cleans up messes. He's got all that great recovery speed. So if the ball gets in behind, that recovery speed allows you to play a little higher. That makes it harder for teams. He's the best passer out of the back. He's the only guy that can dribble out of the back. So with the ball, you're better. He's got personality. All those things together, it gives players around him more freedom. Midfielders in front of him aren't thinking they've got to go win the tackle because Osaze's not back there to clean it up for. So there's a real knock-on effect up and down the field when he's back in there because I think we all sort of agree that until he got hurt, he was the player of the season for FC Dallas. He was the best player on the field, especially because Peter Musa had started so well, but then he got hurt. So Osaze was doing so well, and to get him back in there, not only all the technical ability, not only the personality, but just the knock-on effect of making everybody around you feel better about doing their jobs too.
You said Dallas has to improve defensively. Aside from Osaze Urugide returning, and maybe that'd be the starting lineup next game, how can Dallas improve defensively on the defensive end, knowing that the team has conceded at least 2 goals in each of the last 4 games?
Concentration. We talked, Eric Quill has talked about that this week, that his team is making mental errors, and it's concentration. And my heavens, 2 goals off set pieces. I think the other day during our podcast, I said 2 goals off throw-ins. I think I had some kind of far post-traumatic syndrome or something. But it was 2 goals off set pieces, one off a free kick. But they both look similar, and there was just failure to mark at the far post. I've sort of talked before. There are like 5 deadly sins on goals, and 5. You can break every goal down defensively. In one of these 5 errors is going to happen. I won't go through the list, but one of them is just failure to mark. It's really a matter of concentration. Now, sometimes you might have a slippery forward who can play off your back shoulder and understand exactly when you glance upfield and he goes in behind you and something like that. But really, it's just concentration and being tough and having the sheer will, to stick with your marks, not get picked off and things like that. So, concentration is the answer to your question there.
Last note before we talk about the opponent. Today, Dallas confirmed the departure of winger Leo Chu. He's off to FC Alverca in Portugal. Of course, he was only here for a very short time. He was kind of the make-weight in the Jesus Ferreira trade with Seattle in the offseason. Steve, does his absence now affect Dallas much at all, knowing that he was really only a factor in one game, which, of course, he scored the game-winning goal in Dallas's only home win?
His absence doesn't impact the team that way because, as you said, he had limited impact on things. And by the way, thank you for saying the name of that Portuguese team, because I was hoping I wouldn't have to be the first one to say it, because I'm not really up on my mid-level Portuguese teams. But look, the way it does affect things, Garrett, is that it gives them roster flexibility if they want to make any moves as this window opens up on July 24th. So they now have, as we figured up, 2 international spots open. That's important. They have 4 senior roster spots open, and then they have 2 under-22 initiative spots if they choose to go that way, or they can go the other designated player model where they can add a high-level DP. So it just gives them flexibility. Now, I don't know exactly how much room they have, cap room to work with, but it gives them a little bit of that as well. So basically, it gives them some flexibility for this window that's about to open.
And considering Dallas just lost a winger in Leo Chu, and they probably needed a winger in addition to him, that's probably high on the list, I would think, for Andre Zanata and his team. On to the opponent, LAFC. They've played 2 games since returning from the Club World Cup, a 1-0 loss to Vancouver, and most recently a 3-0 win over Colorado at home. That win was on Wednesday, so LAFC is on a short rest in comparison to Dallas, who's had 8 days off since the game on July 4th. How can Dallas take advantage knowing that they've got a little bit more rest in their legs? Yeah,
well, it's pretty much an unchanged lineup for LAFC. The problem is that 3-0 win the other night over Colorado, it was a relatively easy win. I don't think they really ever had to get out of second gear. I watched that game. Jackson Travis, a young outside back for the Rapids, got thrown out in the 6th minute. So that meant that LAFC had they didn't have. It wasn't a really taxing win. First of all, they had a lot of the ball, and the problem for Dallas is that it gave LAFC a lot of time to practice something they're really not all that good at, which is breaking down a low block. They had the ball a lot in Colorado's end, and were able to just pass around. So that doesn't bode well. But they're at least they might have some tired legs because they did play the other day, and Dallas did have the extra rest.
An ominous note for this game is that Dallas has never once won at BMO Stadium, and the only point they've ever earned was in a 1-1 draw back in 2018, Dallas's very first meeting with LAFC. Steve, what makes BMO Stadium a tough place to go, to use the old adage?
Yep, mostly just that LAFC is a good team. LAFC, when you've got literal world stars out there, guys that have played in 2 World Cup finals, in terms of the goalkeeper, Hugo Lloris. We just had Olivier Giroud, one of the best strikers over the last decade in Europe. He's just left the team. But, Dennis Bouanga, we're going to talk about him a lot tonight. They are a good team. They were MLS Cup champions a couple of years ago. So I don't think that 3-2-5-2 stand that sort of looms over there and then sits, it goes up high. And we've heard Martin Paz say that's one of his favorite places to play, because those guys are behind you. You can have some interaction there. That can be helpful. On the other hand, I always think that it's not really the stadium that's a hard place to play. Is the team good? That makes it a hard place to play.
Last one for you, Steve. Steve Cherundolo, the coach for LAFC, he announced earlier this year that this would be his last season in LA. What do you make of that? Because it's kind of rare that you have a coach basically at the beginning of a season say, "This is my last one."
Yeah, it looks like just a family thing. He was kind of a strange circumstance as a player anyway. He never played over here professionally. He went to Hanover as a young player, then stayed there so long, and it was a mainstay in the lineup for Hanover for so long. They nicknamed him the mayor of Hanover as an American. So he had a German wife. He's got a German family, and I think look, we do things for our family sometimes, and I think it was a family decision. Obviously, Germany is a place that he feels comfortable, so he'll go over there and get himself a job there and Maybe he had just sort of thought that he had taken LA about as far as he could. So you'd have to ask somebody else to go any deeper than that. But that's what I made of it.
Steve, appreciate your insight as always. When we return on the FC Dallas pregame show, we'll have the sounds of this week's match. This is FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Logan Farrington, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A dinner. All season long when FC Dallas wins at home, fans win free Chick-fil-A. Be sure your Chick-fil-A app is up to date and location services are turned on when you attend matches at Toyota Stadium. After the team wins, before you leave your seats, open the app to redeem the Chick-fil-A offer. Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network. In our next segment, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis will join me to break down the lineups and tactics for tonight's showdown. But while we have a moment, a reminder about the FC Dallas Radio Network podcast feed, your hub for everything FC Dallas. In addition to our signature post-game show, we've added the FC Dallas Agenda podcast dropping every week. Ryan, Steve, and myself break down all the important stories in the FC Dallas world while speaking with all the major newsmakers and important figures. Already in the archives, you'll hear from luminaries such as new head coach Eric Quill, chief soccer officer Andre Zanata, and most recently, the legendary broadcaster and all-time great storyteller Rob Stone. Search FC Dallas Radio Network on your podcast provider and hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our great content. Now let's get to the sounds of this week's match featuring FC Dallas manager Eric Quill and forward Logan Farrington.
I mean, our backs are against the wall a little bit, so we've got to be, super aggressive, even though we're going into, a hostile environment against a talented team. But we're very talented, and we've got to have a belief in ourselves that we can go there and get a result, which we've shown to be. That's been our sort of DNA on the road this year. So, but it's a great opportunity for us to, again, we get a good result and give ourselves the best psyche moving on to the next. Well, we've told the guys, this is going to be a contribution of everybody. We're going to need to, we got 3 games in 7 days coming, so we've got to rotate, and guys need to be ready, and their contributions have to be top level for us to get results. And so, but I think it's nice for guys to know that minutes are coming their way if it's earned, and they're training that way. So it's a good, nice moment for us to sort of look at this collectively with that sort of ambition that we're in this together in the next 3 games, but we've got to rotate the legs because it's a lot of minutes on the table here. No, that's what he's capable of. That goal he scored was top level, and that's who Logan is. It's so hoping he builds off that and keeps that momentum going, and again, goals give nines psyche. They give him confidence, and I'm hoping that's what it did for him, and he keeps that going against LAFC.
I think as a team, we just need to just go there and go with mentality. I know we've been big on mentality this year, and I think we started off the season good with that, but it's been dropped, I think, the last couple games, and we need to get back into that rhythm. Hopefully an away trip like this can spark that up again. I don't think it affects preparation, but I think it's a little bit of a mindset. You're on the road for a week, so it's a little bit different. You kind of get homesick a little bit. It's a lot of time away. But also, it means we're focused all the time. There's nothing really else to focus on but the job at hand. So I think that'll be good for us just to cut out all distractions and be ready for those games. Yeah, I think last game was good. I think I was waiting for an opportunity, and that was a great opportunity for me, and I think I took that. I worked hard, ended up getting a nice goal from it, and I think I just got to do the same thing. I think don't try to overdo it. Keep it simple, do what I know how to do, and we'll have success.
That was head coach Eric Quill and second-year forward Logan Farrington. When we return on the FC Dallas pregame show, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis rejoin to help break down tonight's lineups and tactics. This is FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of at the world of WinStar.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra, 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Leggett, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network. We're about 15 minutes away from kickoff at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. Now let's get you the starting lineups for tonight's match, which are brought to you by Advocare. Starting first with the home side, LAFC, and head coach Steve Cherundolo. In goal is Hugo Lloris, the French veteran. The back four has Eddie Segura, Aaron Long, Sergi Palencia, and Ryan Hollingshead. The midfield is comprised of Igor Jesus, Mark Delgado, and Timothy Tillman. And the forward line is Javiro Dilrosun, Denny Bouanga, and Nathan Ordaz. And now, let's hear the starting lineup for FC Dallas and first-year head coach Eric Quill.
Maarten Paas, goalkeeper, University of Amsterdam.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Sebastian Ibiaga, center back, Duke University.
Lalas Abubakar, central defender, University of Dayton.
Marco Farfan, left back, from Portland, Oregon.
Ramiro Benetti, midfielder, Brazil.
Sebastian Leggett, center midfield, San Francisco, California.
Patrickson, mediocampista, Ecuador. Logan Farrington, striker, Racine, Wisconsin.
Pedrinho, midfielder, Brazil.
Petar Musa, forward, from Zagreb, Croatia.
Those were tonight's lineups, and now we bring in the commentary team for tonight's match, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. And Ryan, let's start with you, since Steve and I already discussed this a little bit, but it's the obvious one. Lucho Acosta is not in the starting 11 tonight. He is on the bench for just the second time in his FC Dallas career. That was against Minnesota back in April. That one was for rotation. This one, a little bit more murky. In your mind, is this rotation, or is this something else entirely?
I think we'll see. I think it depends on, obviously, if the team gets a good result tonight, maybe he doesn't come into the starting 11 in the next match. But, 3 games in 7 days, you have to rotate him probably in one of those 3 games. They opted to go with this one on the front end of the homestand, maybe keep the powder dry for San Jose or something to follow after that. So it's an interesting one. Obviously, it's the big talking point of the lineup tonight. He's not been, at his highest peak, to say the least, I think, with FC Dallas this season. He's former league MVP. We know the quality is there, but it hasn't shown through to the maximum for Dallas so far. And I think we were talking before we went live that LAFC is a team that's uniquely suited to pick apart a team. They're very patient, and if you have a player who's a passenger defensively, they'll spend an entire half working the ball, probing that side until there's finally a breakthrough. They don't mind playing a more boring style of soccer. We saw them play up a man for the entirety of their win against Kansas City, and they sort of got those reps in, breaking down a low block. If Dallas was defending with 10, which is essentially what they do a lot of the times with Lucho out there, it might have been a similar story to that Kansas City loss and then the last time out for LAFC. So I think that goes into the thinking of Eric Quill, but maybe there's more than that. We're not privy to the conversations that he's had with the number 10 and the captain of the team. So we'll see. We'll know a lot based on how tonight goes. If he gets in the 60th minute and is raring to go, he sort of responds to being dropped from the starting 11, then it may be a positive sign for the back half of this season. If it doesn't work out, he doesn't come into the game at all, or if he comes into the game and doesn't look motivated, then I think that says a lot as well.
It's a fascinating one, especially to see how he responds to that, and maybe we'll learn more after the game in Eric Quill's post-game interview. But Lucho's replacement in tonight's lineup is Pedrinho, playing that kind of false wing attacking mid. Now, Pedrinho's definitely performed best off the bench this season. 4 of his 5 goal contributions have come as a sub. Steve, what do you think Pedrinho needs to do in terms of tweaking his game to replicate that form as a starter?
Well, the thing is, this game is giving him the chance to evolve. This might be an evolution game for him because he has performed well off the bench, and that's good. There's a role for those kind of players, but now can he do it as a starter? And he sort of struggled as a starter before to show that he can really have that kind of impact, the kind of impact that he's had before coming off the bench. So it's really just that. It's not sort of being, as you used the word, or maybe it was Ryan, you said a passenger. There are times in these games when he sort of disappears, and for 10, 15-minute stretches, he is sort of a passenger. So as a starter, you can't do that. You've got to. There have been games when we said, "Hey, where's Pedrinho? He needs to do more. He needs to impact the game." Then all of a sudden, he has 10 good minutes. Well, you can have maybe a little window, but can he take those 15-minute windows where he's not impactful and make it just a 5-minute window or 10-minute window, something like that? But the other thing, of course, he can do is just providing that immediate pressure that we talked about a while ago that keeps LA from making the kind of transitions that they want to make.
And for the record, I was not the one who used the term passenger. Just keep that one in mind. The only other personnel change in the starting lineup is Ramiro back in midfield. He replaces the young Brazilian Kaique as the most defensive midfielder. Ryan, what does Ramiro bring that his younger compatriot doesn't in that holding spot?
Yeah, I think there are obviously positives and negatives with Ramiro. I think his leadership is his biggest trait that Dallas can lean on tonight in a difficult venue against a really good team. He can sort of help the team notice when there are those moments for Denny Bouanga. I think that's his biggest role tonight is being alert to the danger, getting over and making sure that Bouanga sees 2 defenders. We don't want to see him in a foot race against the number 99 for LAFC at all. But if he can help Shaq Moore and sort of shade to that side, make sure he doesn't stick a leg out, because we know Bouanga can take advantage of those type of situations. He can be the experienced head in there to help deal with one of the league's best players, as opposed to Kaique, who brings a lot of energy and I think could bring some nice push off the bench if Dallas needs to chase this game or if they need to see it out. I could see his energy helping in either scenario. So I think Ramiro, a sensible choice from the start. If he can help the team in their defensive structure, it'll be a well worth inclusion for Eric Quill tonight in the 11.
To be fair, Denny Bouanga would beat most defenders in a foot race and midfielders.
That's true,
too. So
but I particularly don't want to see that one.
That's a good point. Both things can be true.
Another thing Ramiro brings is communication, of course, English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So he's very important for communicating with the whole midfield and back line and keeping everyone on the same page. He's also joined in midfield by Patrickson Delgado and Sebastian Lletget. And Steve, I'm curious on Patrickson. Do you think he's kind of turned a corner a little bit? This is his 6th consecutive start, and I think during those he's put in some of his most complete performances in an FC Dallas shirt.
He's put in some of his most complete performances for sure, but he's also shown that he's still a little inconsistent. We talked the other day, and Eric Quill talked about how it's sort of just a fitness issue with him, where one day he's maybe the best we've seen him this year, and 3 days later it's nothing special. So I think some of that is fitness. So it's really just consistency, and then he needs to add a little quantity to the production, because right now, no goals, 1 assist. He's had
close last game though. That shot off the crossbar.
It's true.
Could have changed the whole trajectory of it.
Close is only close.
That's true.
But last year 4 goals, 3 assists. This year he's in slightly fewer minutes right now. no goals, 1 assist. So he does need to add production because he's also playing just a little bit further up the field this year. Last year he was used some as a holding midfielder, which wasn't really fair to him. But point is, he's playing a little further up the field. Needs to get into the penalty area. Needs to get forward a little bit more and add some production.
The final midfielder has proven that he can be goal dangerous, and that's Sebastian Lletget. I'm curious, Ryan, do you see him playing maybe a little bit more further forward and saddling some of that more creative responsibility, knowing that Lucho Acosta is not in the lineup tonight?
I think it's a really interesting one for Lletget because obviously, he's been here a couple of seasons now. We've seen, his game and the way he can link through the midfield from the back line to the front line. But recently with Lucho on the 11, it seems like he's been very deferential to Lucho. Like they have, he's almost exclusively looked to pass to Lucho in every opportunity. So this may give him a chance to return to his normal game, keep things ticking along, make the right choice based on the situation, not based on who's calling for the ball. And that's no shade towards Lucho. Obviously, that's Lletget, and that's his decision to pass to him or not. So I think it gives him a little more freedom today if he wants to get forward. But if he's the right side of the midfield triangle, I don't want to see him pushing too far forward. Like I mentioned with Bouanga, needing to see 2 defenders, I think he'll have a big task defensively, just like Ramiro will. And one of those 2 needs to help Shaq more defensively against Bouanga.
I want to say, by the way, I don't really want to see him further forward. I want to see him be the connector, the pace setter, the rhythm setter, in the midfield, and then join the attack as needed. But he's got guys up the field. You can push Delgado a little further up. He can be the connecting point between Delgado, or connecting point with Pedrinho, connecting point with Logan or Petter. So I don't really want to see him further up the field. I think he needs to be a little bit further back, just be the rhythm setter from there.
One of the players playing in front of Sebastian Lletget is Logan Farrington, playing on kind of the right wing, kind of a second striker alongside Petter Musa. And Steve, how do you think Logan's presence changes things, playing as a winger, knowing that Eric Quayle typically prefers a more traditional winger in that position? Typically it's been Bernard Kamungo or Anderson Julio, who is, of course, injured.
Well, Steve gave me the substitution signal, so I'll step in for this
one.
There
you go.
Anderson Julio, the news that we have is that we expected him to be available over this road trip, but that's no longer the case. He did have a setback, according to Eric Quayle, this week. Maybe 1-2 more weeks for him. And Bernard Kamungo just back from injury, so he's not ready to start. So I think he would like to have a traditional winger, but he's got basically a number 9 on the right and a number 10 on the left, and they both have to play within the role that they're assigned tonight, not as much their role that they play naturally. Pedrinho will drift inside a little bit more like Lucho has done from that left wing, but Farrington has to find a way to stretch the field, and he can do that. He's not blessed with top level foot speed, but he times his runs really well. He knows how to get his body in between the last man and the ball. So we've seen a couple of times where he's been played in behind. His goal against Chicago is a great example where he can time that run to perfection, make a diagonal ball in behind with Musa dropping off the front line, opening that space for him. I think he can play the role of the stretch winger, and he's most dangerous, of course, we know, inside the box. So it's crucial to get him an opportunity, a look or 2 inside the box at some point tonight.
Moving on to the opponent in LAFC, we know their danger man is, of course, Denny Bouanga, 9 goals and 6 assists already this season. He's hurt FC Dallas before. Steve, it's a tough question, but how do you go about slowing a player like that down?
You might have to wait a little bit to the keys to the match for me to reveal the big secret there. Look, it all starts with awareness, right? Where's Bouanga? You can't forget about Javiro on the other side or Nathan Ordaz, but where is Bouanga? It starts right there. It starts with awareness.
Another player that we know very well on the LAFC side, and that's Ryan Hollingshead, who, of course, spent a lot of time here in Dallas. He's a fantastic attacking fullback. We know that he scored many goals from that left flank typically. That also means, though, that he can leave some space in behind. Ryan, how can Dallas go about exploiting that tonight?
It's Logan Farrington. It's what we were just talking about. Can he time the run in behind Hollingshead well? But also, Farrington's going to have to be up to the task defensively tonight. It's a huge ask for him, not only to track back and help against Bouanga at times, but also to track the run of Hollingshead, who likes to play as an attacking wingback, as you mentioned. Over 200 games for FC Dallas. He's a player we know well, and it's always fun to see a familiar face, but hoping that he's on the losing side tonight.
Absolutely. Now, Steve, you already gave us a little tease there a little earlier. It's now time for your keys to the game.
Thank you, Garrett. These are going to be pretty much soccer 101. Number 1, you got to tighten up defensively. 10 goals allowed in 4 games. That will not get the job done. This team has to regain their better defensive self, the better defensive tenets. We know it's out there. Clearly, Usazi Urigide his absence doesn't help, but this is big boy soccer. They just got to figure it out, tighten up defensively. Number 2, they've got to defend set pieces better. If they can't defend set pieces better than they did last week, chances of a positive result drop dramatically tonight. It's a matter of Just concentration and then sheer will. Just not the will not to get picked off, not to to go be fierce and challenging for the service. So just got to do that a little bit better tonight. And number 3, we just talked about it. You've got to deny Bouanga. He's so good at running at defenders once he's out in space. And that's going to happen tonight. But how many times can you limit the number of times that he gets to run at defenders? By denying balls into him through good occupation of passing lanes and through closing the transition opportunities. That means somebody's getting the ball in midfield, close them down before they can spot Dennis Bouanga. You've got to deny him the ball as often as possible. And those are your keys, presented by Toyota.
Thank you very much, Steve, and thank you, Ryan. That's going to do it for tonight's pregame show. When we return, it'll be Ryan and Steve getting you ready for tonight's game between FC Dallas and LAFC. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Welcome to the world of WinStar. The world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Ibiaga. Tonight's FC Dallas match is up next, right here on the FC Dallas app.
Well, welcome into BMO Stadium in Los Angeles, California, where tonight FC Dallas looks to build on a strong road record in a place where they have never won. The black and gold of LAFC are back from representing MLS on the global stage in the Club World Cup, but tonight their focus is on Eric Quill's FC Dallas side, who will look to play spoiler against one of the league's top clubs. Star forwards are in the lineup on both sides tonight in Hollywood. Denny Bouanga for LAFC, Peter Musa for FC Dallas, but notably Dallas opting to leave Lucho Acosta amongst the substitutes, maybe with the part to play later in the match. Thank you for joining us here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. My name is Ryan Figert, and I'm joined on the call by Steve Davis. And Steve, the team's just about set and ready to go tonight. It is Alan Chapman, the man in the middle, very experienced referee, just about set to get things going in Hollywood. Dallas in their Inferno kits, a light bluish white with red accents. Looks like they'll move from right to left here in the first half. LAFC in their classic black and gold will move from left to right. And Steve, perhaps more so than against any team in Major League Soccer, scoring first is all important against LAFC, who are 10-1-2 when they score first, but just 2-9-4 when conceding first.
I guess the other side of that coin is Dallas has been a good team this year in coming back from deficits, but the best way to best way to handle that is not put yourself in a deficit position.
Yeah, to your point, 16 points gained from losing positions for Eric Quill's side, but they have conceded first in 14 of 19 games. That may well be the story tonight. Who can get off to a hot start as we are just about set to get underway from BMO Stadium. It's dropped off to Ramiro and then Abubakar as we start things off in the City of Angels. Dallas, interestingly, not opting to go long, what we've seen from them all season long from the kickoff, instead opting for some control and possession here early in the match. Back to Abubakar from Peter Musa. Sazi Aragide, Dallas's star center back, amongst the substitutes tonight as he makes his return from injury. It's maybe the last game they have to deal without him for a while, fingers crossed, but it is Abubakar and Ibiaga. Ibiaga making his return to a place where he became an MLS Cup champion. Here's a shot from the edge of the box from Patrickson, and that one off the left foot is wide, so wide, in fact, it's gone for a throw. But not a bad chance.
Yeah, good job there by Patrickson. I don't think that ball was pulled back to him, but he does a good job of recognizing the moment, getting in there, getting there first, and getting a shot off. Early shot for Dallas.
Javiro giving it away and giving it to Jesus in an awkward position. He does well to maintain possession against Pedrinho. The two Brazilians clashing in the LAFC box. Eventually launched long. Shaq Moore content to just nod that one out of play.
Right, immediately I see Ramiro out there being a leader and sort of orchestrating, encouraging Lalas Abubakar a minute ago to move the ball forward, sort of moving guys around with his arm movement. There he goes again. So I like that kind of experience and leadership out there.
You can hear the LAFC supporters group, the 32-52 in full voice. They're behind their team here in the first half as the home side knocks it across the back line. Eddie Segura, Colombian, out to Ryan Hollingshead, a familiar face, of course, over 200 games played for FC Dallas.
That midfield triangle, it is Delgado playing on the right side of Ramiro. Leggett playing on the other side. I wondered if they might switch him.
Marco Farfan knocks that one out off of Tillman. Farfan also formerly of LAFC. He was directly involved in that trade, a straight swap with Ryan Hollingshead. He takes the throw, looking for Pedrinho, not quite enough on it. Delgado wins the header, Ibiaga gets the second header. And Musa unable to keep it in play. LAFC pretty much at full strength tonight. And a lot of that despite the fact that they're playing 3 games in 7 days. But Kansas City made things a whole lot easier on them on Wednesday with the red card in the 6th minute. And it wasn't a really taxing win, a 3-0 in the end. To Palencia on the near side for LAFC. Spanish right back drops it off for Aaron Long. Move it quickly to Segura, and the cross now for Hollingshead. Looking to switch the play. Heavy touch in midfield from Tillman. Ramiro takes it away. Now looking for options on the ball. Left-footed pass finds the feet of Peter Musa. Musa doesn't see any options immediately and runs into 3 defenders. Dallas will keep possession, but they're forced all the way back to Martin Paz.
Good start for Dallas. LA hasn't had much to say about it yet.
Leggett brings it forward up the left side into the feet of Musa. 1-2 return to Leggett. Tillman nipping at his heels all the way, comes away with the ball.
I don't think Leggett expected that to be a 1-2. I thought he thought Peter Musa was going to turn there, so as they tried something combined on the left side, lost the ball.
Ordaz dropping in. Ramiro sliding tackle, puts it out for a throw.
Good intensity for FC Dallas for the start.
And you may notice the black armbands if you're watching alongside our broadcast tonight. Dallas players wearing those to honor all those who have suffered and lost in the recent flooding disaster in Central Texas. Of course, all our thoughts here at the club are with those that have been affected by that tragedy. Dallas joining with Austin and Houston in the league and making a donation to those relief efforts this week. Foul in midfield, and LAFC get it going quickly the other way. Palencia early cross in from the right side. Ordaz leaves it thinking Boanga was there. Dallas fortunate he hadn't made the run. And Paz goes long. Musa wins a foul in the center circle.
Hey, Aaron Long walloped him pretty good from behind there. Garrett Long was, he's got 35 U.S. caps. You know, for a while there, we thought he might have something to say about the World Cup roster, the important World Cup roster coming up next year, but I think he might be out of that USMNT scene for now.
And he and Leggett involved in a lot of the same games, around 30 caps each in that spell leading up to the last World Cup. As Dallas have a throw in the attacking area. Farrington wins it near the corner flag on the far side.
The newly mustachioed Logan Farrington, huh?
Hey, he had it last week for the goal. I mean, would you change it?
No.
Moore looking for some space, sends an early cross in low, looking for Musa. Segura puts it back out wide to the far side. LAFC trying to play through the Dallas pressure here. Delgado back to Boanga, who's dropped in deep. He hits the switching ball. The outlet is Palencia on the other side. Pedrinho at full sprint to close him down. Ordaz playing false 9. Sliding tackle from Ramiro's a tough tackle, but a good one. Pops up in the air. Farfan wins the header. Pedrinho can't keep it in play. Ramiro looking good in his return to the starting 11 tonight.
Boy, he really is. I mean, and look, it's only 6 minutes in, but it's a really good start for FC Dallas because the pressure is really bothering LA right now. And, you know, what we see sometimes teams do on the road is the intent is to pressure for 10 or 15 minutes, you know, really get yourself going, and then they might drop off a little bit, so we'll see.
Palencia, first time ball in towards Javiro. Javiro in behind Farfan along the right side. Javiro caught up under his feet, now forced wide of the 18-yard box, drops it off for Tillman, back to the Dutch winger. All the way back for Delgado. Wide again, the recently acquired DP. Javiro off the left foot, bending ball, deflected. Musa back defending, got a touch to it, an awkward touch. Stays with LAFC. Dallas camped out within 40 yards of their own goal here. Jet defending wide against Javiro. Dropped off for Jesus. Delgado keeps it ticking along. Segura will now bring it forward on the far side. Wide for Boanga. Dallas shows 2 defenders. It's Moore and Farrington. Boanga passes it up. Now a ball diagonal from left to right. Palencia trying to keep it in play, unable to do so. Dallas getting the defensive spacing right on that time. The first time LAFC really got them pinned in.
Yeah, first time really there was an LAFC incursion into the Dallas final third. So good job for the road team so far. Dallas doing what we've seen most of the year when they play out of this 4-3-3. They attack out of that 4-3-3, and then on the right side, Logan Farrington drops in, and they defend out of a 4-4-2. So it's 2 straight lines of 4.
Boanga just gets a word from the referee for leaving early, trying to press as Dallas goes short from the goal kick. They are playing through the pressure here. Abubakar out to Shaq Moore. A lot of space for the Dallas right back. Into midfield for Ramiro. Likewise, some room for him as he lifts this one forward. Patrickson makes the run, looking for the early ball towards Musa. Underhit it. It's cut out by Aaron Long.
Everything was right there except for Patrickson's just the technical quality of his ball, but really good job playing out of the back, and Ribeiro hit a really sweet little ball. Just lifted up and checked up nicely for Patrickson to run onto. And he made the right choice by trying to play early into Musa, who was making a back post run, but just didn't quite hit it the way he wanted to.
Pedrinho fouls Tillman in the aftermath. Haven't heard much from Pedrinho in the opening 8 minutes. And there for Lucho Acosta tonight. Looking for his first complete game as an FC Dallas player. Don't really mean that in terms of completing a 90 minutes, but being a consistent presence from the start. He's been so good as a substitute, a super sub for Eric Quill this season.
It looks like Pedrinho has that free roll, just like Acosta. Sort of starts on the left side, but as Dallas loses the ball, Leggett widens out a little bit, and so he's really the more left-sided presence on defense over there.
Leggett just hounding Ryan Hollingshead. He's forced all the way back to Segura. It is the 9th start of the season for Pedrinho. From at a variety of positions, usually fitting him in the lineup alongside of Lucho Acosta. It's the 2nd time he's been in there in place of the Dallas number 10. Previous was the 0-0 draw at Minnesota, which all things considered is a pretty good result. Tillman fires it wide right for Javiro. 2v1 for LAFC with Palencia joining in. Javiro looking to get to his left foot. Drop of the shoulder creates the space. Now sends a bending ball towards the opposite side, looking for Bouanga. Shackmore wins the header. And then Farrington wins the foul.
That's Logan Farrington doing his favorite move, just putting himself just at the right time, getting his timing right, putting himself between the defender and the ball, absorbing the contact, drawing the foul.
Working the referee a little bit too. Had a word with them after.
I'm not sure which way that was going. I thought maybe that was Alan Chapman having a word with him. Maybe.
Back to Martin Pass. Lifted out towards Farfan. Wins the header down the line. Pedrinho gets there first. He's got a whole lot of Mark Delgado to deal with. Manages to keep possession. And then hit the big switching ball out to the other side. Shackmore brings it down. Poked inside for Patrickson. Wide right for Farrington. Sliding tackle from Segura puts it out for a throw. Minutes in, scoreless at BMO Stadium. Dallas in possession with the center backs here. Ebiaga, just too much weight on that pass, looking for the run from Marco Farfan. Well, the best way to experience FC Dallas soccer is with a season ticket membership, which has a host of benefits that make this the best option in sports, including complimentary MLS season pass subscription, discounts on concessions at Toyota Stadium, and much more. You can find the membership that's perfect for you at fcdallas.com/memberships. Ryan Hollingshead in possession. Left back for LAFC tonight. At 34 years of age and a seasoned MLS veteran. Here's a switching ball from the home side over his head and out of play. Shackmore takes it, launched back in towards Abubakar and back for Martin Pass. Pass out to Farfan. Into midfield for Ramiro. Some space for the Brazilian. Finds Leggett out to his left. Dallas with some numbers here up the near side. Leggett brings it forward on the dribble. Now wide for Marco Farfan. 3 in the box waiting for Dallas as he sends the early cross in. Musa gets the shot towards the near post. And it's just a foot wide. Had Lloris worried. And it was good service from the Dallas left back there, picking out the number 9.
Oh, this is what FC Dallas needs. They need those outside backs. Farfan on the left, Shackmore on the right to get forward, supply service. Moore tried to hit one a while ago, didn't hit it very well that time. That's a good ball, pulled back to right around that 12-yard spot. Peter Musa arriving and giving Hugo Lloris something to worry about there, just missing it to near post.
Volleyed forward by Ramiro, looking for Musa. Jesus with a good touch, and LAFC can get out up the other side. Hollingshead brings it forward into Ordaz, dropping off the front line. Linking the play here with Jesus. Now fired wide right to Javairo. Just about learned his teammates' names by now as he joined ahead of the Club World Cup after playing against LAFC in the play-in game for Club America. Might have been a little disappointed with the result until he got the call the next day that he was actually going to the tournament, but with the opposite side. Alan Chapman waves up Denis Bouanga there. Dallas build up on the far side after the giveaway from the number 99. Musa skips past one challenge. He's got a lot of space up the right side. Now looking for options. Musa bringing it from outside to in. Picks out Pedrinho, top of the box. Pedrinho looking for space to shoot. Lines it up on the left foot, and that one just wide. Again, maybe a foot or so to the right of the post of Hugo Lloris.
As Ryan Hollingshead trying to buy the cheap foul back there. He's giving Alan Chapman an earful right now, but I think Chapman was right. I don't think that was a foul. I think he was trying to buy a cheap one, and that's why he was up the field, and it was all that space available down the right side to bring that ball forward. Pedrinho missing at the left side of post by about a foot.
A good counterattack for Dallas. So far, not a ton of danger going the other way for the home side as we played 14 minutes.
Dallas's defensive structure looks nice and tight right now. You know, that's 15 minutes, so you got to keep it for the entire match. But right now it looks good. The lines are really stitched together well.
As Steve mentioned earlier, Pretty disciplined 4-4-2 against the ball right now, with Pedrinho joining Musa as the front of the formation. LAFC just moving it across the back line from one side to another. Delgado picks it up in midfield, lifting it on the diagonal out towards Javiro, and Farfan denies him the ball, heading it out of play.
He talked about Javiro. They've got to make a real quick decision, because it's a very short-term loan, only for about a month. Then they have to make a decision of whether to keep him around. And he did score the other day against Colorado, so good debut for him. Or debut in MLS play, at least.
I think I mentioned that it was Kansas City a couple times. It was Colorado that they were able to defeat at home on Wednesday.
It's not just flyover country, Ryan. They're not all the same.
It's all Midwest to me. Maybe Colorado a little too far to be Midwest. Hollingshead takes a throw on the far side. And for Igor Jesus. $4 million acquisition in defensive midfield in the offseason from Flamengo. Interesting to sort of put him up against Kaique, who's on the bench for Dallas tonight. Similar transfer fee, similar position, and obviously both coming from the Brazilian league. Dallas going with a younger profile teenager in Kaique. LAFC going for more of a win now type of U22 signing, and that's a 22-year-old who's had that professional experience, including 5 games for the Brazilian U23s. LAFC sustained possession here. Dallas won't mind them having it there. Now in between the lines is Palencia. Wide for Javiro. Down the line for Palencia. If he'd stayed on side, looks like he just about did. Keeps it in play. Farfan goes sliding in, comes away with the ball. Now holding off Palencia, looking for somewhere to go with the ball. Trying to kick it off the LAFC player, and does, to win a throw.
Farfan's had a good start to this match.
Mentioned one of his former homes. Always a little bit of extra motivation for a player leaving a place where Marco told us he had just signed his lease for the season, and days later he got the news he was being traded to Dallas. It's worked out for him decently well here. Obviously been the consistent presence at left back across multiple head coaches now. You got to eat that lease. That's never fun.
Cool night in Los Angeles right now, 72 degrees. FC Dallas players will appreciate that.
Really weird service there from Martin Poss. Just got it wrong and sent it straight out of play, nowhere near a Dallas player. Patrickson with the tackle in midfield. Ramiro turns it over. Abubakar sticks a foot in. Musa trying to turn Aaron Long here. He's got it up the left side onto his right foot. Ball into the feet of Farrington. Segura beats him to it. Puts it out for a throw.
It's funny when you called Abubakar's name a minute ago. I haven't heard you talk about Abubakar Ibiaga a lot. And it's just because Dallas has had a good midfield structure in front of them. And so far, center backs haven't had just a whole lot to do.
Unlucky moment there for Dallas as they had an overload on the left side, brought to a quick halt as the loose second ball got onto the field. Drop ball to restart play, and Ramiro is forced to go back to Abubakar. Ibiaga out to Farfan on the left, in for Pedrinho. Bounces it back for Leggett. Leggett, who's got a decent personal record against LAFC, 4 goals and an assist in 15 career games. Formerly of the Galaxy, of course. Farrington out to Shaq Moore. First time ball from Patrickson towards the back post. Pedrinho was there, and Lloris came out to catch it and dropped it, but Dallas not close enough to take advantage.
Well, he did, and if Pedrinho at least goes and challenges just a little bit for that ball, he might find it just sitting at his feet there as Hugo Lloris drops that one.
Lloris, the World Cup winning goalkeeper, now 38 years of age. He's on the Brad Guzan trajectory. He's got 2, 3, 4 more seasons.
That's the Casey Keller trajectory, Stefan Fry trajectory, although we hope Stefan Fry's doing okay. It's a pretty serious collision he was involved in the other day. Had to be ambulanced off the field.
Hollingshead making his way up the left side, finds the feet of Bouanga. Bouanga, heavy touch, straight out of play. And through 20 minutes, that's about the extent of his involvement in the game.
That's funny, you know, the raw numbers say that LA has controlled 67% of the ball right now, but it doesn't really feel that way. Dallas has had the only 3 shots of the game. Martin Paz hasn't been called on to do anything. Most of those passes for LA have been inside their own half.
Paz floats a diagonal out to Farfan, nodded it down the line. Palencia intercepts. Possession turned over to LAFC. Eric Quill, I think, will be the first to tell you he doesn't mind these 20 minutes, but it's about 90 plus. Heard him reiterate that time after time this season.
And for me, Ryan, this midfield organization I keep referring to, it's all about Ramiro. He does a good job of communicating and keeping things together, although they just got behind him.
Here's Ordaz now driving it through the middle of the field. Sliding tackle there from Patrickson, cleans it up. It's a good one from the Ecuadorian. All 3 of the midfielders now have had a nice tackle or 2 in the opening 20 minutes.
This is one of my only little knocks about Ramiro's game. You know, sometimes I know as a holding midfielder you have to get forward at sometimes. You're just the right man to go pressure, but it just scares me when I see him that far up the field, and he got way far up the field that time on the defensive pressure, and you saw what happened. They get right in behind you.
Farrington drops it off to Shackmore in a difficult spot. He turns it over here to Boanga. Boanga in the middle of the field now, sliding tackle from Patrickson. He evades it. Martin Paz, big save on Denis Boanga. Shot from 20 yards. Out to Javiro on the follow-up. 1-2 with Boanga. Javiro thinking about a shot on the left foot. Gets it to Boanga, who's now popped up on the right. An assignment Farfan didn't want to draw tonight, that's for sure, off the left foot of Boanga, but well wide.
This is just a demonstration of how careful you need to be, and you got to make sure you're taking care of the ball in the right spaces, because LAFC to this moment has had absolutely 0 threat. But Shackmore gives up the ball needlessly off the dribble, and Boanga is off to the races. He gets a shot off from right at the top of the arc at 22 yards that Martin Paz has to fight off.
Dallas building up well under pressure. Get a lot of space for Shackmore this time, and he's going to go direct, looking for the run of Farrington in behind. Just overhit, and easy for Larice to come and pick up.
And those were the kind of concentration lapses that Eric Quill was talking about, and we talked about it on the podcast the other day. It's not just young players, it's sometimes veteran players making those mental mistakes.
Boanga on the left side, lifting it out to the right for Palencia, just outside the 18, swings across in, too close to Paz, and he able to comfortably catch that one.
Sergei Palencia was the one involved in that red card the other day as a
There's
young player.
Service from Martin Paz, which had the opportunity to spring Logan Farrington in a ton of space on the right side. He hit it on a rope, and the margin of error on that one, it was a little bit too far, too close to Hugo Larice, but there was space there in behind Ryan Hollingshead. We talked about in the pregame show. It might be there, and it has been for Dallas.
The thing with Hollingshead is he's 34 years old now. He doesn't get forward quite as much. You know, he was on a run there where he's averaging 4 or 5 goals a year, which is outstanding for an outside back, but he's only got 1 this year and 10 starts plus 5 appearances off the bench.
Tillman on it on the near side for LAFC. Back to Aaron Long. Segura brings it forward through the middle. Dropped off again for Delgado. Delgado, who's surely going to be the only player in MLS history to play for all 3 of the first 3 California clubs. Now he's got to make a transfer to San Diego to complete the quartet, but he started his career with Chivas USA, most recently with the Galaxy, where he won MLS Cup last year. And just as he thought he completed the set, the league adds another team out on the West Coast.
Yeah, a lot of good years in Toronto in between all that after Chivas.
Farrington just ragdolling Ordaz. Not sure if the whistle went for or against Logan Farrington. Looks like it'll be a free kick for FC Dallas.
Yeah, I think Farrington had a little bit of Ordaz shirt, but Ordaz responded with a lot of Farrington shirt, and that's what referee Alan Chapman spotted.
I do love once again when Logan Farrington just weight rooms somebody else on the opposition. That time it was the LAFC homegrown forward.
Nathan Ordaz, I think he's going to be a good one. 4 goals, 2 assists this year. He's California born, but he's going to represent El Salvador internationally.
Nice ball from Paz through the middle, finds Leggett, gets turned. Now wide right, Shaq Moore sends an early ball in towards the back post. It's headed away by Palencia. Second ball, fighting for it is Leggett. Jesus holding him off. Leggett trying to pick his pocket. Jesus really press resistant in there against a couple Dallas players. And it gives an awkward one for Lloris to deal with. Composure of the World Cup winner. Deals with it well, finds Segura, who hits the diagonal, and LAFC are out of the pressure going the other way. Palencia brings it into the attacking half. Wide now is Javiro, 1v1 here in the wide space with Marco Farfant. Javiro back to Palencia, and now Tillman through the middle.
Pedrinho on about a 60-yard sprint there to get back and help on defense. You like seeing that.
Coming wide again to Javiro. Dutch winger onto his left foot. Couple step overs, opens up the space, looking for an angle, rolls it across the top of the box. Hollingshead one more out to Boanga. LAFC flooding the box here. Hollingshead with the cross, deflects behind for a corner kick. It was Abubakar with the defensive action. He's a little slow to get back to his feet here.
Well, as that ball rotated right to left for LAFC, you want to see Dallas defenders rotate and jump out on the ball just a little bit quicker than they did there. Almost got themselves in trouble and did give LAFC the first corner kick of the game, which, again, for 27 minutes playing out there, pretty good for FC Dallas.
Boanga will take it from the far side. Looking for assist number 7 on the season. In-swinger towards the back post over everybody's head. Tillman on a dead sprint to try and keep it in play, but he's unable to do so. It'll be a goal kick. No danger created on that occasion by Denis Boanga. Last goal on Wednesday. He's now hit the back of the net 50 times in Major League Soccer in 4 seasons. And he's at his 3rd straight All-Star game in a couple of weeks. 4th straight All-Star game in Austin.
When you're a 20-goal scorer for 2 seasons in a row, as he is, that's saying something.
Home side in possession with Segura in the defensive half for LAFC. Been a story of resilience, Eddie Segura, like we see with the likes of Paxton Pomacol, Giovanni Jesus, these multi-year injuries. He's managed to come back and become a mainstay in the LAFC side. Here's a ball down the right side. Kept in play by Palencia, deflected cross towards the top of the box. Tillman comes across to receive it. Back to Palencia, all the way back to Aaron Long. Denis Boanga now. Quick 1-2 with Hollingshead. Boanga just going to pass this one back to Segura. Every time he does that, it feels like a little bit of a mini win for FC Dallas. Here's a ball through the lines. Tillman looking for a first-time flick towards Ordaz. Ibiaga alert to it. It's wide now with Javiro. The footed ball deflected, and Ibiaga sends it clear only as far as Jesus, 30 yards from goal centrally. Delgado back to Jesus. Now Palencia, service into the box, looking for Ordaz at the back post. Header one there. Abubakar chests it back down to Martin Paz to kill the attack for LAFC.
Well, LAFC now starting to find the gaps in those 2 lines for Dallas. And I think Dallas just has to sort of regain the intensity that they played with. And I know it's asking a lot, to keep that over the course of, 45 minutes per half. But it's just, that's what the team has to do.
Abubakar and Ramiro now back to Paz. Diagonal ball. Hit this one a couple times out to Farfan, but this one's overhit. The Dallas left back can't keep it in play. This pressure starting to weigh on Dallas shape. Dallas had some good spells of possession in the opening 20 minutes, but the last 9 minutes, I'd say, has been all LAFC. Delgado out wide to Hollingshead. Back in his home state of California, but he's definitely got that California tan on him now, as opposed to his time in Frisco. Here's Javiro wide on the near side. Pedrinho forces him back to Jesus. Aaron Long goes back to Segura. Bowanga in midfield this time. Moving it along. Now Long brings it up the right side. Tillman, first time ball out to Javiro. Javiro darting from outside to in. Past a couple of Dallas defenders, sends it off the left foot, off the chest of Abubakar. Farrington scrapping for the second ball, comes away with it and wins another free kick. Third foul against Logan Farrington tonight. 15 touches for Petar Musa in the opening 30 minutes, 16 for Bowanga. Musa went the closest with the one shot wide the near post.
Yeah, I would bet, though, that about 10 or 11 of those 16 touches for Denny Bowanga have come in the last, as you just said, the last 10 minutes. Because for about 20 minutes, maybe 16, 17 minutes, Dallas really did a good job of preventing LAFC from being dangerous at all, from getting the ball to Bowanga very many times.
Patrickson a little casual on it there, and now Bowanga on it into Ordaz in the middle. Ordaz turns and shoots and scores. The opening goal, courtesy of the LAFC homegrown, a self-inflicted wound for FC Dallas once again.
It was a good recognition by the young LAFC striker, but that's just Dallas giving the ball away. Patrickson giving the ball away in a bad spot, and I just said they've just got to regain that intensity that they had for 15, maybe 20 minutes that you saw drop, and it dropped about the time Shaq Moore gave the ball away. That time it was Patrickson Delgado that just needlessly gives the ball away, doesn't check his shoulder. The ball bounces right to Ordaz, who does a great job of turning and immediately seizing the opportunity, shooting at about 16 yards. Even Martin Paz, not much of a chance on that one.
5th goal of the season for Ordaz. We mentioned LAFC under Cherundolo, 53-3-5 when scoring first in all competitions. Dallas used to this exact position. They've conceded first in now 15 of 20 games in MLS this year.
Well, this has been the knock on Patrickson. He's a young player, he's going to learn, but his awareness, usually it's his defensive awareness. That time it was his awareness, as he receives the ball, just not checking his shoulder, not knowing that there's pressure coming. And immediately the players around him, Martin Paz, Lalas Abubakar, are starting the inquest with Patrickson, sort of talking to him, and maybe a little come to Jesus talk to him about that.
Musa sort of undercutting Mark Delgado, challenging for a ball in the air. Delgado down, holding his back. Musa tried to catch him in the air to make sure it wasn't too hard of a fall. I think he at least cushioned the blow. 33rd minute, LAFC in front at home.
And Musa is one player who's 2 cards away from yellow card suspension. Dallas has had too many of those this year. Ramiro and Osaze also. Lucho Acosta 1 card away.
Moves past the midfield. Patrickson onto it, driving forward through the middle. Petar Musa wide right, tries the first time ball back to him. It's blocked, and Lloris comes to pick it up. Good interception from Patrickson. Lloris launches it long. Shaq Moore sliding tackle, got a pretty big chunk of the ball, but referee whistles for a foul there. Bowanga drawing the contact.
It's just such a shame because Dallas had really played well for 20 minutes, but really the only 2 threatening opportunities LAFC have come off turnovers, one by Shaq Moore and one from Patrickson.
Segura doesn't see anything he likes, drops it back to Delgado, moving it along for Tillman. Palencia in for Tillman again. Jesus, a lot of space in the middle for him. Segura brings it forward from center back. Hollingshead waved up again by Alan Chapman. Not having any of Ryan Hollingshead going to the floor today. First time ball looking for Farrington is intercepted by Segura.
Pedrinho on a 1-man press there, and that's just not something you want to get caught doing.
Jet dropping in to help on that left side. Jesus on it in the middle. Stepping in front of Bouanga is Lawless Abubakar from his seated position, gets a foot on the ball. But it's Bouanga now, full speed, pokes it wide left for Hollingshead. Hollingshead left-footed ball, defended at the near post. There by Lawless Abubakar behind for a corner.
So this is where somebody for FC Dallas, could be Ramiro, could be Paz maybe August. Somebody's got to step up and be a leader and help Dallas just restabilize the game.
Bouanga, his first corner kick went over everybody's head. He's got another chance here, right arm raised. Swings this one this time towards the near post, headed away there by Logan Farrington, out for, well, it'll stay in play just about. Bouanga retrieves it. Now 50 yards from goal. Switching it over to the near side, Javiro back to Delgado. Down the line for Tillman. Here long stayed forward, offering an option. Dropped off for Javiro. Bouanga centrally. Dallas forcing a lot of the back passes and sort of the horseshoe, moving around, probing movements from LAFC. And they've been in that defensive shape. They've been solid. Here's Hollingshead wide on the left side. And he too checks back to find Segura.
And they have been solid, not just solid though. They've been nice and compact. They're giving LAFC the spots on the wings, the space on the wings.
Valencia moves it over to Segura.
You can do that, you can give them space in the wings as long as you're willing to pop out there quickly once the ball does arrive into those places. Here it is again.
There's Javiro on it on the near side, now moving from outside to in, full speed, and here finds Tillman in between the lines. Tillman off the left foot, wide of goal. And just the pace of Javiro, the sprint off the mark there, opening up the Dallas back line.
Yeah, for sure it did, and that caused a big gap to open up between Ibiaga and Farfan there, the center back and the left back. And Tillman doing a good job of finding a little bit of space, creating a little bit of space, and then aiming a ball for that upper left corner. Just didn't hit it right.
If you looked at the first choice Dallas 11, you'd say the two players that have that gift of physical speed, quick burst, Osazi Arguide and Anderson Julio not involved today from the start. Julio out completely, Arguide available on the bench. Sometimes in those 1v1s, it's just that burst of speed. Bouanga's made a living off of it.
And Eric Will has talked about what he calls a stretch winger, not having one of those guys. That would be Julio or previously Leo Chu or, of course, Bernick Mungo.
Javiro, nice first-time ball, now wide on the opposite side with Ordaz. Swung in, blocked by Shaq Moore. Now he and Patrickson trying to work out of pressure. Patrickson fouled there by Ordaz. '38th minute as we get a look at the LAFC substitutes. Another familiar face there is Nkosi Tafari. Mainstay for Dallas the past few seasons, but hasn't really found a way into the lineup for Steve Cherundolo this year. 9 appearances, 5 from the start. Going for LAFC on the far side. Dallas get 2 around Bouanga there and come away with the ball. Patrickson down the line, Farrington drop of the shoulder. Can't get past Hollingshead on that occasion. Musa helping out. And he's won a throw just shy of the halfway line.
As LA's had more of the ball, the game moves into Dallas's end a little bit more, a little bit further, and then Dallas is having trouble in the last 15 minutes just moving out. In the first 20 minutes, the game is played in the midfield and at LAFC's end, and Dallas wasn't having any problem at all moving the ball, at least out of their defensive third. Now they're really struggling to do it.
Boubacar over to Ibiaga. LAFC front line just waiting 10 yards away for that first pass. Put pressure on. The Jet now the one dropping in. Ibiaga is going to hit the diagonal, looking for the run of Farfan, attacking it there over the head of both he and Palencia. Arfon unable to keep that one in play. It'll be an LAFC throw near the corner flag on the near side. FC Dallas back home July 19th for our 90s night, where we'll be celebrating all things 90s, and some of your favorite Dallas Burn icons return to Toyota Stadium for Dallas's match against St. Louis City SC. Only a handful of tickets remain. You can visit fcdallastickets.com for more. Here's Farrington on a dribble from the left side, looking to open up space for the right-footed shot. He gets it away, but it's blocked. Dallas retain possession here along the left side. Ramiro wide left for Pedrinho. Pedrinho, couple step overs. Still surveys, pokes inside for Leggett. 1-2, back to Pedrinho. Off of Javiro last, and Dallas will have their first corner kick of the match here in the 41st minute. Pedrinho will take, in the absence of Acosta. Musa, Farrington, two of the big targets to aim at. Pedrinho whipped in towards the near post, didn't get much underneath it, and it's easily for Ordaz to volley, clear and out of play.
All right, I've got Pedrinho right now with 5 touches, 2 for 2 on passing, and that's for 40 minutes. If you're going to be the creative spark, you got to get the ball more. You got to find more ways to go get the ball.
Jesus, just no nonsense there, launches it straight out for another Dallas throw.
I think he tried to kick it into Santa Barbara there.
You can hit the Hollywood sign from here.
Yeah.
Boubacar rolls into midfield for Ramiro. Quickly closed down there by Tillman. Back to Ibiaga. Ibiaga, ball deflected up into the air. Volleyed away by Delgado. Ramiro gets a foot to it, finds Patrickson. Now Leggett in between the lines. Leggett crowded off it there by Palencia. Patrickson quick to retain possession. Nice tackle. Gets it out wide for Shaq Moore. Brings it forward on the right side. On the left foot, gets the shot away through traffic. And it's in the end comfortable for Hugo Lloris. But if that takes a deflection, it could have been trouble. And it went through quite a few players. Sliding tackle from Ramiro. Dallas with a little bit of energy over these last couple minutes. Patrickson ahead to the feet of Leggett. Leggett just staying on his feet, and I think he could easily win a free kick, but it's bailed out there by Patrickson. Another sliding tackle wide with Pedrinho. Pedrinho off the left side into the feet of Musa, just outside the reach of the Croatian as it got a deflection on the way. Musa could have had a turn and shoot opportunity like Ordaz at the other end. Now going the other way. Here's the counterattack from LAFC. Bouanga up against Shaq Moore. Farrington back to help out. Farrington and Moore beaten here by Bouanga, who goes down, and we're headed to the spot. And that's the Denis Bouanga special right there in the 43rd minute.
That's almost identical to a penalty he drew the other day against Colorado. And look, he's speedy, he's tricky. And that time he just got Patrickson turned the wrong way. Was it Patrickson? It was Shaq Moore, I beg your pardon. Yeah. Yeah, he got Shaq Moore just completely turned around there. Shaq Moore just sort of clumsily leaning into him.
Bouanga, the master of one where you don't think it's really a penalty, but there's enough contact where it's never overturned. I mean, that is his specialty.
Well, he's got some Farrington in him, whereas he knows where to put his body. As he knows the contact is coming, he sort of leans into it and sort of helps create the contact. And look, it's an offensive weapon. Either way, he's going to the spot. Second game in a row for him.
Scored in the last match, missed in the previous in the Club World Cup. Martin Paas looking for his first penalty save of the season, made 3 in 2024. He's got the captain's armband on tonight. So we're on the stroke of halftime. This could be a big swing either way. Bouanga waits 12 yards away. Deep breath, and now on the approach, stutter step from Bouanga, and he goes to the right. Paas dives the other way, and it's 2-0 LA. Front flip to the corner flag for Denis Bouanga.
Right, good solid penalty kick. As you said, Martin Paas goes right. It's just hit with power and pace to Martin Paas' left. Getting one more look at it again, it's it's clever for Bouanga, but he also really did a number on Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore had to turn completely around, and as he pivoted back around, turning around to his right, Bouanga was right there again, sort of leaning into the contact.
We heard from Eric Quill after the Minnesota game where it was, we worked on this, we looked at video on this, and in that case it was set pieces, and it's a similar story with Denis Bouanga. There's only so much you can do against his talent, his speed, but if you're Shaq Moore there, you almost wonder if you're better off to let him have a shot. With Abubakar there to try and get the block in, and it's just one we've seen so many times before.
I really think as Moore kind of lost his bearings as he's sort of heading towards the corner flag, Bouanga's cutting in. I think he just didn't even know where Bouanga was. He just had to turn around and try to regain his defensive positioning, and he had no idea that Bouanga was there. So of course, again, it's clumsy, and Bouanga knows what's happening there, so he's going to sort of lean into him as Shaq Moore spins all the way around to try to recover his defending position.
We're into 3 minutes added on here in the first half. 2-0 LAFC is the score. First of 2 straight on the West Coast. Dallas will be at San Jose on Wednesday. 3 games in 7 days for the Burn. And now, with the 2-goal lead, LAFC will be really content just to maintain the possession that Dallas was allowing them throughout this first half. It's going to have to look a lot different in the second half.
This is one, by the way, that LAFC really, really wanted because, they're sitting in 6th place right now, and if you look at them, their road record isn't very good. So they really, over the second half of the season, really coming about to get into the final stretch here pretty soon, they want to move back into one of those top 4 spots because they want that home field advantage as much as they can get it.
Valencia into Javiro. Tillman on a dribble, 20 yards from goal. Hollingshead over to Delgado and wide with Bouanga. Bouanga trying to get to the end line. This time Shaq Moore gets his body in the way and shields it behind for a goal kick.
Finishing up that thought there, LAFC 7-2-1 this year at BMO. Just 1 win, 3 losses, 4 draws on the road. So you see the difference. So they clearly, they went with an unchanged lineup today, and after that win the other day over Colorado, 3-0 win, red card aided win.
Parfon heavy touch gives it away to Javiro.
But in this case, Dallas is mostly back in defensive position.
Final minute of 3 added on here in the first half. Aaron Long out to Tillman. And then Javiro on the right side returns it back to him. 1-0 was the score when Dallas visited LAFC last year. Bouanga scored in the 74th minute. Martin Paz had 8 saves in the game. Here's Delgado, top of the box towards Palencia, over towards Ordaz, trying to get the shot away. Breaks for Hollingshead, still inside the 18 on the far side. Swung in from left to right for Javiro, brings it down inside the box towards the inline on the near side. Cuts it back for Bouanga. Bouanga misses everybody with the left-footed pass. Patrickson now can spring Pedrinho going the other way. Maybe one last counterattack in it for Dallas. It's towards Musa. He's beaten to it, though, by Aaron Long. He puts it out, and that should be it here in the first half. Goals from Ordaz and Bouanga. I mean, it's 2-0 LAFC, and it is a tall task in the second 45 for Eric Quill and co. We'll talk about it on the halftime show on the other side of this break. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer here on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Welcome back. It's FC Dallas 0, LAFC 2 after 45 minutes. We'll get into all the action on the halftime show, brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Also brought to you by Advocare, building champions together. I'm your host, Garrett Melcer, filling in for Sam Hale, and I'll soon be joined by the broadcast crew, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. But looking at the big picture of the first half, Dallas played quite well for about 20 minutes, but LAFC then grew into the game, scoring the opening goal through Nathan Ordaz off of a giveaway from Dallas in the back, and then followed soon after by a penalty won and dispatched by Denny Bouanga. But let's get you all the important halftime stats presented by UMB Bank. LAFC is winning the possession battle as well, 67% in favor of the home side. In terms of shots, it's 4 for LAFC, 5 for Dallas, but 3 of those are on target for the home side, whereas just 1 is on target for FCD. 2 corners for LAFC, just 1 for Dallas, and also just 1 save for Hugo Lloris and 1 for Martin Paz as well. 7 fouls apiece for either side, and no yellow cards for either team. Now let's get the thoughts of the broadcast crew, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. Steve, I'll start with you. What are your major takeaways from the first 45?
That it's a real shame that Eric Quill was absolutely right about what the team needed to improve on, and they just didn't do it. He talked about how they're just having concentration lapses. And we talked about it the other day on the podcast, where it's not just the young guys, but it's some of the veteran players. So, for 20 minutes, you've got the line stitched together really solidly. They're playing, they sort of attack out of that hybrid 4-3-3, but on defense, it's two good lines of 4, so they defend out of 4-4-2, and everything was going well. And then in a moment it changed, and it was unfortunately a veteran mistake. It was Shaq Moore who gave the ball up. Dennis Bouanga comes in, gets a shot, grabs the ball, gets a shot at about 22 yards, and that one Martin Paz was able to turn away. But for me, that's where the game changed, and from there, LAFC, whereas they didn't have the confidence over the first 20 minutes, they moved the lines up. They start playing in Dallas's end, and then it's a couple of mistakes. One more by Shaq Moore, one by Patrickson. Shaq Moore's mistake is against Dennis Bouanga, and look, he's good. He does that to players, so his mistake leads to the penalty kick. And then it's Patrickson Delgado that gives the ball away. That LAFC does what they do so well, which turns that into an instant opportunity. Boom. You played well for 20 minutes, but it's a 45-minute half. You're down 2-0.
Ryan, you called all the action. What stuck out to you the most?
Yeah, I think very similarly. I think we saw a positive start, and I think we saw particularly Ramiro making an impact in midfield. And then from there, I just saw a lot of, mistakes and some hiding in midfield as well. I mean, a lot of times the center backs were on it for Dallas, and they had all the time they wanted. LFC's happy to give the ball to Ebiaga and the Boubacar, and you see maybe one of the Dallas 3 midfielders checking, but are they even checking with the sort of body language that I want the ball, give me the ball here, I'm going to do something with it? I didn't see that from any of the 3 Dallas midfielders, and in a venue like this, against a team like this that can be suffocating and patient in possession, you're going to have so little of the ball. 34% of possession in the first half for Dallas, but when you have so little of the ball, you need people who can demand the ball, like we see on the LAFC side. Igor Jesus, how many times did he have it under pressure from 2 different Dallas players and managed to keep the ball? He doesn't do anything spectacular with it, but just having that outlet in there that he's going to keep it, move it along nicely. That's basically what they built their midfield out of in LA, and Tillman and Delgado, Amaya. These are all guys that they don't jump out on the stat sheet. They don't get goals and assists really, but they keep it ticking along nicely. Dallas Dallas had that for 20 minutes. Ramiro, Patrickson, Leggett all had good moments, some nice tackles from all three of them at times. But when it came to wanting the ball in these pressure moments, when you've conceded and you feel the weight on you, you feel the way the season's gone, you feel the way the half is going, nobody stepped up for me, and it was difficult for Dallas to play out through the pressure because of that.
And look, I don't disagree with any of that, but I'm going to sort of build on that. In those moments when you're talking about that they need to demand the ball, they need to do something with it, they've also got to have somewhere to go with it. And I don't mean to make it sound like it's all this guy's fault, but Pedrinho, the knock on him has been that he doesn't find consistently enough ways to impact matches, and he's got to find a way in this one, assuming he comes back, I think he will, for the second half, to make an impact. Because, look, right now, 3 of 5 on passing, 10 touches. You know, by comparison, Farrington has 15 touches. Musa has 26. He's got to be the one making himself available for those midfielders. There was two different times when somebody had the ball and he's sort of running along beside him, which is not an option. You know, you can't run along beside somebody. You've either got to make a run off of them, clear the space, or check back a little bit and give the guy an option in case he gets in trouble. You have to do something else. You can't just run beside him. And so he's got to sort of figure that out and figure the game out. Where are the spaces? I mentioned at one time in the broadcast, LAFC is starting to find those half spaces now. So he's got to do that. Where are the spaces today? Get in those spaces. Work hard to get in there and get the ball from the midfielders.
We've talked a lot about those moments of lack of concentration. Eric Quill's talked about it. It's really plagued this team. And both of LAFC's goals come from that. Ordaz's goal comes from a giveaway when Patrickson has a loose touch, gives up possession. They score the opening goal. And then Shaq Moore giving away a penalty to Denny Bawanga. That's the 7th penalty on the season, by the way. That's the most in MLS, tied with 2 other teams. I mean, it's a really tough question, but how do you go about fixing individual errors? Because it's killing this team right now.
Oh, Steve and I are both looking at each other. And I think there's been some of that on the field for Dallas as well, of looking to somebody else to step up and be the leader. I think for me it's a leadership thing as much as it's an individual thing, right? If you have somebody out there who's raising the level of intensity, demanding, and I think Martin Paz can be that, but when you're the goalkeeper, you can only have so much influence, right? You don't have somebody out there amongst the field players that's demanding that, being that intensity guy. But also at a certain point, it's about, are there players that can come into the lineup for these guys that are making mistakes, right? There needs to be pressure for your job in the starting 11. And, at times there has been in midfield when there's been more depth, when Paxton was sort of getting back. But right now you look at it, there's not a ton of depth in midfield. Patrickson's getting a run of starts, and he's doing some good things with that run of starts, but there's nobody breathing down his neck where if he messes up one pass, he's out of the 11 for the next game. And for Shaq Moore, I don't worry about that as much, but there is absolutely no backup behind Shaq Moore, so it would be easy. I'm not going to question his professionalism, as a national team player, as somebody who's done so well in his career. But, when you don't have someone breathing down your neck, it's just a different level of intensity, and sometimes those mistakes happen.
Look, it absolutely is an issue for me because it's an issue in 2 ways, by the way. We said that Shaq Moore, we didn't think as Dallas completed that 3-game homestand, we didn't think he was at his best in that last match. And again today, I don't think he's at his best out there. We've seen him be a good defender. We've seen him get up and down the line when he's asked to do that. He hasn't always been asked to do that this year. But I think he might be wearing down a little bit, Not having somebody behind you, as you said, to push you, it does matter. And right now we're not seeing the best version of Shaq Moore, and it's hurting the team. So they absolutely have to find somebody who can effectively play as a backup outside right back and not just slot Ramiro in there. Because, by the way, I don't know how much longer Ramiro can go today because he's in his first start in, 6 weeks?
Yeah, and they've got 3 games in 7 days. They're going to want to use him again, in San Jose and at home against St. Louis. So that's one to watch. Obviously, you do have a ready-made replacement in there for Ka'ike, but you lose a lot of that communication and leadership if you do make that swap.
Looking ahead to the second half, Steve, are there any obvious changes that you think Eric Quill needs to make? We know the big talking point going into the game was Lucho Acosta being on the bench. When and if do you think we'll see him?
We've seen most of substitutions that Quill makes come in around the 60th minute. He's a guy that wants to wait a little bit longer, maybe than average, to make some changes when changes need to be made. But obviously, you're down 2-0, and I would say I would hope sooner rather than later. But if we haven't seen him by the 60th minute, I would say that we'll be seeing him very shortly thereafter.
And I think when we do see him, it's almost make or break for how this season is going to go for him. How's he going to respond to being dropped from the 11? You know, whether you buy into the idea that it was rotation with the 3 games in 7 days, or whether you think it was a message about, you know, his defensive commitment. Dallas is going to need defensive commitment in the second half to get back in this game, because they can come in and Lucho can influence, maybe get a goal or two, but if you concede 2 more, it doesn't matter. You've got to be able to be, you know, a two-way player in the second half against LAFC, who are no doubt feeling confident, feeling themselves happy to just keep the ball, you know, in their own half, as well as push it towards the wingers who can be so dangerous. It can't be just a one-way performance where we look to Lucho and say, bail us out. He's going to have to, you know, get in there and grind with the team, as well as produce those moments at the other end of the field.
Really quickly, guys, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, this feels like a big moment, because I think early in the season when Dallas would do this, they'd go 2-0 down in the first half of a game. They would fight back before the halftime break. Now we're at halftime. It's a 2-goal game. What can you show me in the second 45? Eric Quill's been decent with his substitutions throughout the season. Can he pick the right moments? Can he find the solution to what has been a pretty solid performance from LAFC so far?
Good point, but limited options off the bench today. Usually he's had some more offensive options to bring off the bench. A little bit more limited today.
Pedrinho in for Pedrinho? Would that work?
If you can figure out a way to do it, yes, it's a great idea.
That he's coming in as a substitute in the second half.
Well, we'll see how that all shakes out over the second 45 minutes coming up very soon. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Palmacall, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Well, welcome back into BMO Stadium as we're just about set for second half action. FC Dallas trailing 2-0 on the road at LAFC. As we get a look at the 11 who's made their way back out for the second half. Doesn't look like any changes for Eric Quill. As we saw Lucho Acosta and Denis Bouanga exchanging a couple words here as Bouanga now heads to the LAFC huddle. Those two, of course, will have made friends over previous All-Star games. And when will we see Lucho Acosta in this second half? Dallas will need some of what he can bring at some point to get themselves back into this game, Steve. We're seeing him on the bench getting some instruction from the assistant coach, Rodrigo Rios. The trend continues. You mentioned at halftime, Eric Quill doesn't like to pull players after 45 minutes. He's done it rarely. He sticks with the starting 11 here as we're back underway in the second half. Looking for a response from the same group. Right ball from LAFC straight out for a goal kick.
I'll also say if they start the second half the way they started the game, they'll be fine with this lineup because for 20 minutes they were good. For the first 6 or 7 minutes, LAFC barely had the ball. Really didn't have the ball in any kind of good spots.
Dallas' best chances in those opening 10 minutes. Musa had one just off target. Patrickson as well. Building up here in their own 18-yard box with Ramiro over to Ibiaga. Farfan gets faced up and sends it down the line. Nobody to connect with. Just gives possession away to Jesus and LAFC. Hollings head back to Segura. Missed him by a couple yards, but Musa not close enough to take advantage. Tillman here pressured by Ramiro. Back towards his own goal. Lifts it out to Palencia, and that breaks the Dallas pressure. Brings it forward now up the right side. And for Ordaz, heavy touch from Ordaz. Turns it over to Pedrinho. May have more touches on the ball there than he did for most of the first half. And he gets it back from Abubakar as well. Keeps it moving for Ramiro.
I wonder if they've asked Pedrinho to drop in a little bit more and help in the build out.
Ramiro, first time ball to Shackmore, brings it forward on the right side. First time ball looking for Farrington, just a foot or so off the mark. Turns it over. Now it's down the line for Bouanga, and Shackmore out of position. Bouanga with a lot of green grass to run into. Ramiro gets across to try and help out, gets a foot on the ball, bounces back for Bouanga, down the left side, gets the cross away, and Ibiaga puts it behind for a corner. Appeals for a handball there against Bouanga.
Shaq Moore went up on started to press there, and I'm not really sure what he was doing, and you can sort of see the frustration from the bench area on Eric Quill because he's pointing down there at Dennis Bouanga. Shaq Moore is on a runabout. And sure enough, and Bouanga's just got acres of space to run it to the FC Dallas back line, and that is not what you want to see.
Bouanga won and converted the penalty in the first half. He takes the corner here, driven towards the near post. Farfan gets the touch, gets the second touch, and he's clattered into there by Bouanga. Free kick for Dallas, and they'll get out of their set piece defending back into shape. Boubacar in the midfield for Patrickson. Patrickson able to get turned past Tillman as he realized just in time that Tillman was about to close him down. Back on it, out wide for Shaq Moore. More down the line for Pedrinho, this time on the right side. Pedrinho on a dribble past one, but not past Delgado, turned over. Now Bouanga, nice tackle there from Shaq Moore, down the line for Leggett. Back to Moore, who brings it forward here on the overlapping run. He's got Farrington and Musa in the middle. Low ball swung in, volleyed away by Aaron Long. Second ball brought down by Leggett. On the turn, left-footed shot, not far away. But in the end, it's over the bar.
Boy, that was nice and tidy from Leggett. Brings the ball down on his right foot with one touch and then just swings around and cracks it with his left foot. That is nice. Just didn't get the accuracy on it. Tillman had something like that in the first half that went about the same place, just missing that top left corner by a couple of feet.
I'll tell you, those fans in that section need to be alert tonight. Saw some good hands, some good reaction time from the LAFC faithful there. Well, the win probability on the screen right now for
not
Apple
looking good.
Showing LAFC at 96%, Dallas under 1%. But for me,
sure.
They haven't watched a Dallas game this season.
Absolutely, 16 points from losing positions. They're not. Some algorithm isn't taking that into effect.
2-0 down on the road. You got them right where we want them. 49th minute, brought forward by Palencia on the far side, out to Javiro. Javiro onto his left foot, corner of the 18, pass Ramiro, gets the left-footed shot away. Martin Paz diving to his left, puts it out. Nice save there from the Dallas captain.
I will say this is where I think in the announcer's handbook it says to say something like, guys, the next goal in this game is going to be really important. But I won't say that because it's just so doggone obvious.
Javiro looking to replicate what they had against Colorado, where the whole front three scored. He was the last one waiting to get on the score sheet tonight. Ordaz and Bawanga in the first half. They're lining up a long throw here. Harking back to Minnesota last week. Long throw towards the near post. Header won by Patrickson. Volleyed away by Logan Farrington. Now Bawanga. Bawanga shrugs off Farrington. Bawanga on the dribble now through the middle of the field. Right-footed shot blocked by Patrickson. Out to Delgado. Tillman wide for Javiro. Pedrinho is defending. Goes in for the tackle. Beaten there by Javiro. It goes down. Not enough for the referee. Blow the whistle. Hollingshead picks it up centrally, and Delgado goes back to Segura.
I think Dallas might have gotten away with one there. It was outside the area, but it would have been a dangerous free kick.
Chapman's had a pretty high bar for a foul for anyone not named Denny Bawanga tonight.
You know, I saw another look at that, and Bawanga does a really great job of understanding that that Shaq Moore is sort of spinning around, and he almost like throws himself into Shaq Moore.
The James Harden move.
Yeah, exactly. That's well put. Exactly.
This week I did liken him to the NBA MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's often called unethical for his style of play. Tongue-in-cheek, of course, but that is Bawanga's MO. LAFC sustained possession here, moving it from far side to the near. Delgado back to long. Dallas doing a lot of chasing in this one. Javiro through the lines. Bawanga now on a sprint through the middle of the field. Bawanga out wide right for Palencia. Digs out the cross. Ordaz at the back post. Heads it back towards Hollingshead. And Post comes to catch it at the second opportunity. Hollingshead, 20 goals for Dallas, looking for his first against his former team there. Biaga without a name attached to that pass right to Palencia.
You just see so many little instances, little ones, you know, where Osazi Urguide, you're reminded of how much he means. You know, when you see a center back completely misplay a pass or maybe not be able to help recover, help out one of those outside backs. I was even wondering if, as Dennis Bawanga got dribbling in a while ago, if Shaq Moore might have made a different decision. I think you said a while ago, would it have been better just to let him take the shot? But maybe if Urguide is back there to help to slide over and, you know, be Johnny on the spot there, maybe he does sort of say, okay, I'm beat now, but I know somebody's behind me.
53rd minute, LAFC 2, FC Dallas nothing at BMO Stadium. Switching ball out to Farfan, brings it down, but has to go back to Ibiaga. Now closed down by Ordaz, sends it in the air down the line. Pedrinho challenges for it. Ramiro, nice first time ball out to Leggett on the left wing. Leggett matched up with Long, sends the cross in towards Musa. A diving header from Segura sends it clear. And LAFC quickly work it past the Dallas midfield. Now put a ball in behind. Foot race between Abubakar and Bawanga. Abubakar goes down, and he had just enough of a head start there. Marco Farfan able to get back and keep it in play as well.
Nice job there by Abubakar. Had to get that tackle right.
I was getting some PTSD from the Philadelphia game. I can't lie to you.
I had the same thought.
Dallas work it to the near side now, and Farrington back for Ramiro. A lot of space for Ramiro here. Through the lines, Patrickson on the edge of the 18-yard box, out to Shaq Moore, stabbed into the middle, off the mark there, looking for Farrington, and Moore sort of shrugging there as LAFC go the other way with 4 in the attack. Bawanga popping up on the right wing. His old teammate Sebastian Ibiaga, 1v1, corner of the 18-yard box. Bawanga down the line, Ibiaga leaning on him. Here's the low cross sent in. Paz gets a hand to it, and he puts it behind for a corner.
Nice job there by Martin Paz of bravely shooting himself out in traffic there. Intercept that low ball with Ordaz lurking at the back post. Players making near post runs.
I think It's the first corner for LAFC. That'll be an outswinger for Bouanga tonight.
Also good job there of Abubakar sort of pushing Mark Delgado, making that near post run, just sort of pushing him out of position and clearing just a little bit of space there. So Martin Paz could come collect that ball or at least knock it away for the corner kick.
LAFC goes short. Back to Bouanga. Bouanga slips there and just gives it over to Ramiro. Now Ramiro needs somewhere to go with the ball. It's a back pass intercepted by Ordaz, keeping it alive. Back pass, back heel to Javiro. Ordaz on the follow-up. Somehow, Dallas don't concede.
Oh, that was a mess.
Got back heel, back pass, all mixed up. Dallas at odds and ends at the back as Ramiro just didn't spot Ordaz.
Well, the first thing that happened is as Bouanga slipped, Ramiro just collected the ball. Well, Dallas players just started flooding out, but nobody really made themselves an option. You know, you've got to face the ball a little bit and not just run away.
In the end, it was Abubakar with a very important block off the line. Keep it at 2-0 here. No consistent avenue to possession at this point for Dallas. Give it away. And now it's Ordaz over to Delgado.
Well, they're not going to be able to get back in the game if they can't build out of the back a little bit better. Right now, they just can't get out of there.
Musa decently involved in the first half, but I'd love to see if he has a touch here in the second half. Delgado back to Segura. Long down the line for Palencia. 29-year-old. Came up through the Barca Academy. Never really broke through with the first team. He's found a home in Los Angeles. Ricky Puig's trajectory. Hollingshead scampers forward up the left side into Denis Bouanga. Bouanga over to Javiro. Nice tackle there from Farfan. Pedrinho now working to Musa, back to Farrington. Pedrinho making himself available on the right wing. Pedrinho, first time ball, back to Farrington, trying to get wrong side of Delgado. Delgado just really attentive to his defensive duties there.
That was a really nice moment from Delgado because Dallas really had something going there. I mean, Delgado, just one of those MLS lifers who's likely lifer, just become one of these guys that just quietly become the backbone of a team. Good box-to-box connector, covers ground, can be occasionally dynamic.
He'll never get an all-star nod, you'd think, throughout his career, but at the end, maybe one of those like they do in the Oscars where it's the Lifetime Achievement Award. He's won a few trophies, hasn't he? Including last year's MLS Cup with LA Galaxy. Good combination up the left side. A lot of space for Hollingshead. Early ball defended by Ibiaga. Back out to Hollingshead. Delgado switching it over to Palencia. Palencia wide for Javiro. Javiro drop of the shoulder a couple times. Dropped off for Tillman. Something about LAFC, they have quite a few players who've come through these prestigious European academies. Javiro's the latest. Came through at Man City and Ajax. Tillman was a Bayern Munich youth product. Just because they didn't quite hack it at the best teams in the world doesn't mean they can't be performing at a high level in Major League Soccer. We're going to see changes now for Eric Quill. First one is Tarek Scott in for Logan Farrington. Bernard Kamungo will replace Sebastian Leggett. And Lucho Acosta is in as well. We'll get to see who for. A triple change for Eric Quill. A big roll of the dice and a necessary one here on the hour mark. You'd think it was Pedrinho, and it looks like it is Pedrinho who came off for Acosta. Dallas into 4-2-3-1 now. Tarek Scott on the right wing, Kamungo on the left. at the very least, injecting some pace into the front line and some creativity into that number 10 position.
Big opportunity for young Tarek Scott.
I think this is his most significant minutes in Major League Soccer. He did have a couple appearances last year. This is his 5th career game for FC Dallas. Helped win a penalty and got a point on the road at New England. Corner kick to defend here for Dallas and the recent substitutes. Whipped in. Peter Musa gets a flicked header, takes it out the other side. Patrickson will launch it down the field. Awkward one for Delgado to deal with. Ramiro challenging for it. Palencia gets an important touch. Possession stays with LA. Now Bouanga. Wide against Shaq Moore. Tarek Scott loses his footing trying to help out. Bouanga cuts back, goes down. And man, they just can't help it, the referees, with Denis Bouanga. I don't see anything there, but he's got a free kick in a really dangerous position on the edge of the box.
I agree. I thought he just slipped there.
And we've seen multiple players slip in the past few minutes. It's not like it's something crazy. I mean, maybe a little bit of contact, but not enough for an athlete like Denis Bouanga to go down.
Well, either way, they got a free kick to defend here just outside the box, well along the left side, though.
Martin Paz sets his wall. Looks like 5 players forming the barrier. All the tallest amongst the Dallas ranks. Javiro and Bouanga, the 2 designated players for LA, in conversations about who's going to take this one. LAFC have set their own 2-player wall to try and shield Martin Paz's vision.
I feel like I inaccurately described it as well along the left side.
Well, I think it's made its way a few extra yards centrally.
I think you're right.
From where the foul was. It's Bouanga towards the back post, and Martin Paz gave it a dive, but it was never threatening.
The ball did seem to migrate, didn't it?
For somebody who came to Major League Soccer not speaking any English, Bouanga is quite persuasive with a referee. But still, he is one of the league's best, and those type of players tend to get a little bit of a kinder whistle. Costa's first touch, a header to Kamungo. Looking to return it to him, it's out of play.
You're right about Bouanga. We'll see him down in Austin in a week or so. Less all-star game going on down there.
Segura fires it out to Hollingshead. Tarek Scott puts him under pressure, wins it back. Patrickson quickly into the feet of Peter Musa. Acosta over to Patrickson. Dallas with numbers up this right side. Musa forces it into the feet of Patrickson, drops it off for Acosta along the right side. Here he goes on the dribble. Absolutely leaves Delgado in the dust and going for the 1-2 with Patrickson. Can't return it there to the number 10. Patrickson goes sliding in. It'll be a goal kick.
Good early moment, though, from Acosta, looking lively.
Delgado just froze as he threw the shoulder fake. So often the nearly moments this year with Acosta, the 1-2s that just haven't quite come off, whether he's the one making the run or returning the pass. Another one of those occasions. Segura clips one down the line. Shaq Moore gets a foot to it and keeps it away from Denis Bouanga. Patrickson over to Acosta along the right side. Back to Patrickson. Keeps it moving along out to the opposite wing with Marco Farfan. Kamungo for company. Here is Bernie Kamungo. Farfan to Kamungo, corner of the 18. Out wide for Ramiro. Also move it back through Ibiaga. Patrickson with some space in midfield. There's a sustained possession for FC Dallas. Patrickson into the feet of Scott. Back heel looking for Shaq Moore. It breaks back for the Dallas homegrown. Moore lines up across, whips one in towards Kamungo. He gets his body in the way. It breaks for Acosta at the back post. Acosta, one shot fake, gets the cross off the left foot, deflected behind for a corner.
Oh, I thought he'd carved out enough room there to hit the ball with his right foot. Off that first chop, and then chops it back to his left foot and kind of sees the opportunities squandered.
They'll take the corner. 5 Dallas colors wait inside the 18. Whips towards the back post. Abubakar challenges for it, gets contact on it as well, but nods it off target.
Yeah, Ryan Hollingshead goes up with him pretty strong there. Abubakar gets the ball, but just can't get any pace on it.
Set piece service for Acosta has been frustrating, but that one was a decent first option. For me, the type of corner kick where it starts really high and then dips right at the right moment towards the heads that go up, that's the most dangerous service you can put in. That was at least in that variety. Farfan all the way back to Martin Paz here in the 66th minute. Ramiro to Ibiaga, out to Farfan again. On the line for Kamungo. Kamungo can turn, some space for him. It's the switching ball, finds Acosta in the center circle. Overlapping run now from Shaq Moore. Numbers in the attack for Dallas here. Shaq Moore checks it back for Lucho Acosta. Acosta on the dribble, looking to dice up Delgado, but Delgado that time able to read the pass and make the interception. Now Bouanga lifting it out towards Javiro. The counterattack was on, but Bouanga unable to get that one past Ramiro. Some life in this game since the changes for Dallas, yet to turn it into any real opportunities, as Musa's now called for a foul against Delgado. And the yellow card is out for the Dallas forward. Well, don't miss the FC Dallas Rewind on KDFI More 27 every Tuesday night during the regular season at 7 p.m. You can watch FC Dallas Soccer for free on KDFI More 27. This free over-the-air channel is available everywhere in the DFW market. Toyota Stadium renovations are underway. You can check out the new construction canvas, see the latest updates in real time, learn more about this ambitious project that will give Toyota Stadium a brand new roof to cover every seat in the house, gorgeous new club spaces, and much more. And to learn more, you can visit newtoyotastadium.com. '68th minute, 2-0 LAFC. Thank you for tuning in with us here on the FC Dallas Radio Network, whether you're just listening or simulcasting with the game on the TV, or if you're in LA, who knows?
Closing
if you
out
are, give us a wave.
There you go. Closing out the book on Pedrinho. 17 touches, 2 of 3 on his dribbles, and 5 of 9 on passes.
We can talk more about that in the post-game show. On the left side, Hollingshead cutback ball finds Delgado. Delgado to Ordaz, can't quite control it. Kamungo gets a touch. Bouanga from distance over the bar, as he was looking to show up on the week's highlight reel there.
Bouanga has been lively after the about first 15 quiet minutes. I think he's looking for some stat padding tonight. He's already got the 1 goal.
See how much longer he's out there. LAFC going to make changes now on one wing. Javiro replaced David Martinez into the game. Bobasi will replace Ordaz, striker position as well. And there you see the depth of LAFC. These are players that would start most places across the league.
I was just about to say the same thing. I mean, Bobasi is a heck of a guy to bring off the bench. When Dallas is healthy, I mean, Logan Farrington's a heck of a guy to bring off the bench. But right now, playing with a little bit of a shorter stick, and start him a little bit out of position tonight at right wing.
Pass out to Farfan, able to keep that one in play. Not the first time that Martin's overhit it.
Yeah, they've gone to that. They've gone to that sequence a lot. I think LAFC has it sniffed out now, but either way, you got to hit that. You got to hit the ball out to Farfan out there a little more accurately than that.
Mahmoud juggling it over David Martinez, and now Acosta comes away with it on the dribble. Out to Shaq Moore. A lot of space for him to run into along this right side. Delgado, the one in retreat for LAFC. Moore checks back for Patrickson, and then Acosta. Acosta Lifts this one towards Kamungo on the far side. Good weight on the pass. Brings it down on the left foot in the chest. And now the sprinting speed of Martinez will go the other way. Past Farfan. Checks back on the halfway line. Farfan had a tug of the jersey. And that'll be a free kick for LAFC right on halfway.
That's a great switching ball a minute ago from Acosta to the backside to Bernard Kamungo. You would like to have seen Kamungo just one time with that one right across face of the goal. I think that's what Pedro Musa wanted from him as well, but when he took the touch and it wasn't really the best one, he lost the opportunity.
And Biaga gets a foot on the ball, wins it from Abobasi. Now Patrickson moves it through the middle. Tarek Scott wide right. Jack Moore more and more involved of late. Finds the feet of Musa, top of the box. Got caught under his feet though and gives it away to Jesus. Now sprinting the other way is Martinez. 3 in the attack for LAFC, just 2 defending for FC Dallas. It's David Martinez over to Boanga. Boanga, a lot of space, bends it towards the back post. Big save from Martin Paz to keep it just a 2-goal game.
Good shot, well placed, and nice save by Martin Paz.
That's the danger of pushing more numbers forward here, and they have to. Acosta goes down wanting a foul, nothing given. Martinez on it once again.
Bernie Kamungo looked over at Acosta, didn't give him the ball, then dribbled himself into trouble, and by the time he did give Acosta the ball, he was all covered up. Some frustrated body language showing up now from a couple of FC Dallas players.
Kamungo whistled for obstructing Palencia. So get a look at the save from Martin Paz. It was really 3, maybe 4v2. And LAFC got what they wanted, and that's Boanga with the shot.
And Boanga had a lot of time to line up that shot. Use the sole of his foot to push it inside. He was over on the left side at about 14 yards, try to curl it around to that back post. Martin Paz, he sort of telegraphed where he wanted to put that. I think Martin Paz, because of that, he read it and got a good push off. Either way, it was a good save.
Now stepping the pressure up, Kamungo able to deflect the pass, but not to a teammate. Now out the other way, it's Hollingshead bringing it up the left side, down the line for Boanga. Boanga, drop of the shoulder, Shaq Moore defending. Swings it in off the left foot. Farfan gets a touch to it, out to Abobasi on the left foot, rattles the bar. Think Paz got a fingertip to it. As Dallas will come away with possession, Marco Farfan needs an option to go somewhere. Eventually just rockets it off an LAFC player behind for a goal kick. And on that one, you feel like Shaq Moore did all right, kept Boanga in front of him, and then he whips the left-footed ball in with some venom on it.
And Dallas just can't get the ball cleared after that.
Paz had 8 saves at BMO Stadium last year. He's been very involved tonight. I think that was save number 5 if he got a touch on the Abobasi shot.
Something's happened to Aaron Long. I didn't see it.
He looks in serious pain here. He's a player that has had a couple of long-term injuries in his MLS career. He really looks upset with this one.
Let's see if I can catch a replay here. I just didn't see it at all. But he's in real distress.
As we wait for the treatment for Aaron Long, we're going to let you know that FC Dallas is celebrating 30 years in Major League Soccer. The club is commemorating its most iconic moments, kits, players, and more. Visit fcdallas.com/30 to relive the important moments and storylines from throughout the club's history. And we invite you to stay right here, wherever you're listening, on the FC Dallas app or YouTube channel. After every match ends, we go for a deep dive into the previous 90 minutes in 30 minutes or less. It's the FC Dallas postgame show here on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Still didn't see it. It might have been non-contact. He's putting absolutely no weight on his left foot right now.
Yeah, has all the telltale signs of something you hate to see for anybody. Dallas, of course, with numerous players out with ACL injuries right now. As Ka'ike is in to replace Ramiro.
Ramiro going 75 minutes. I really did think he got tired, but that's to be expected for a guy who's just coming back from injury. Played a little bit the other day, but got his first start in weeks.
Ka'ike in for his 14th game of the season. 9 of those from the start. 5th time off the bench. As Long as got a ride off the field. We wish him all the best. And it will be Nkosi Tafari who will get an opportunity here against Dallas to replace Aaron Long for the final 14 minutes. Yaya Boa also up off the bench for Steve Cherundolo. And maybe more opportunities coming for Nkosi Tafari. That injury to Long, and Marlon, who is the starter for LAFC, not going to make it through this transfer window. They opted not to pick up that buy option at center back.
Well, what you get with Ka'ike coming in for FC Dallas is a little bit more speed in midfield, a little bit more athleticism, probably a little bit more attacking push if that's what they want out of that position. But what you lose is the experience and the ability to sort of identify danger and the ability to administer that midfield, to orchestrate.
Also certainly got some fresh legs out there. They've got Acosta to try and orchestrate the attacks. And you get that first goal here pretty quickly. Start the comeback. And they've never won in Major League Soccer. Their only draw, formerly known as the Bank, was the first time they ever played there. Back in 2018, Maxi Arudi on the score sheet for FC Dallas on that occasion.
Going back to the Maxi Arudi days, you're going back a bit.
It's one of the stadiums left where Dallas has yet to plant their flag. Seattle, they've at least done it once. Had a few more chances to do so. Segura swings it out to Hollingshead. Into Yeboah, first involvement for him, former Columbus crewman who scored the game-winning goal in MLS Cup for Columbus. Tarek Scott at full stretch to keep this one in play along the right side. Does well to get it back to Shaq Moore.
Felt like after that triple change came at the 60th minute, Dallas doing a pretty good job of sort of trying to fight their way, claw their way back into the match, but in the last 5 or 6 minutes, it's been a little bit tougher sledding.
Ka'ike moving it along in midfield out to Farfan. And we'll send it down the line. Acosta not challenging for it. It was Tafari who won the header. Now Yeboah on it in midfield.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Dallas's only real threat in the second half has been the Leggett spin and left-footed shot. Maybe Abubakar's back post header off the corner kick, but that wasn't really much of a threat.
Hollingshead, risky pass in the midfield, but got it right. And Jesus keeps possession. Now turned over. Shaq Moore down the line. Petar Musa shielding it there. Musa keeps possession, finds Patrickson. Now Musa in the midfield for Ka'ike, leaves it for Acosta off the outside of the right foot, finds Patrickson. Patrickson towards Kamungo, edge of the box, he goes down. And he's waved up by the referee. Now the counter going the other way. Bobasi waits it in behind for Martinez. Ka'ike defending. David Martinez now edge of the 18-yard box. Looks to get to his left foot, but Ka'ike able to stonewall him there. Good defending that time as Martinez is back on it now. A shot centrally is along the ground and comfortable for Martin Paz.
Yeah, you're right. Ka'ike showing really good recovery speed there. I don't think if that's Ramiro, I think that's more dangerous for Dallas.
It's not often you have two options in the same position and sort of their strengths and weaknesses are polar opposites of each other. Here's Tarek Scott running at Ryan Hollingshead. Hollingshead pokes it out for a throw. Scott has got 5 goals in 13 games for North Texas this season. There's Shackmore along the right side. Just to get past Hollingshead, who stands tall. Acosta on the counter press, wins it back from Yeboah. Acosta to the end line. And that one, did it travel out for a corner? No, referee says play on. Yeboah sends it straight out in the touch, but Dallas thought they should have had a corner.
There's just a little bit of contact there as Acosta tried to get around the corner, and you just sort of feel like Acosta just got a yellow card for something, and
now he's suspended for Wednesday.
I don't know what it was.
They were resting him for Wednesday. That has come to pass, and it's not going to work out. Here's Martinez through the middle. Options either side. Bouanga out in space along the left side. Bouanga gets his head up, closed down by Abubakar. And Farfan gets an important header. Now Farfan defending it right back against Bouanga. All the way back to Segura.
So as Acosta tried to get around the corner a minute ago and thought maybe there was a ball that had gone out of bounds, he goes over and he just sort of makes a gesture toward the assistant referee on that side. Doesn't really get that close to him, and that's when Alan Chapman pulls out the yellow card. That's pretty tough. I don't know, maybe he said something wrong, but Chapman was pretty far away. I don't think Chapman could have heard what he had to say. He just didn't like him sort of gesturing toward the referee's assistant.
Maurice launches it long. Hasn't been called into action yet. Hugo Lloris.
Shaq Moore hit that one ball, hit it right at him about midway through the first half. That's about the sum total of the saves he's been asked to make.
83rd minute. LAFC 2 first half goals in complete control at this point. Mungo lifts this one towards Tarek Scott. Beaten to it by Segura. Bouanga darts off the touchline, moving from outside to in. Finds Tillman. Valencia out to Martinez. Valencia on the dribble, chips it in behind for Bouanga. Return towards Valencia, but it got to a Bobasi, who got the shot away on the turn. Didn't get the power he needed there to beat Martin Paz, who makes another save, diving down to his right. And it was a nice turn from a Bobasi. Bubakar maybe able to put him off enough to prevent a third goal going in. Keke out to Lucho Acosta on the left side. Farfan goes on the overlap. Acosta firing it through the lines, looking for Musa, intercepted by Tafari. Lifted down the line where Acosta makes the interception. Flicks it over the head of David Martinez. Keke on the dribble, now out towards Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore, 1v1 here with Hollingshead, looking for space to get the cross in, whips it towards Tarek Scott. It hits Tarek Scott after it deflected off Segura. He didn't know much about it. We get another change for LAFC as Bouanga is replaced by Ryan Raposo. As you perhaps indicated, Steve, no stat padding for Denis Bouanga. He did have a couple chances at it. His first half penalty kick is just insurance as it stands.
Guys, maybe something we can talk about on the post-game show if it doesn't happen, but ask you the question now. Would you like to see, as Dallas has one more change they could make, Urguide come in and just get a little bit of...
Here's Martinez at the back post with a shot palmed away by Martin Paz behind for a corner.
And Martinez sneaking into the back post there, giving Martin Paz something to deal with. But I'm just curious if maybe Urguide, just get him a few minutes, get him back in the swing of things, get him going again.
Not for me.
Fair.
At this point in the game, if it's 2-1 and you're chasing the game, maybe it's a different story. Or maybe it's more of an argument to do it.
That's the thing. I feel like there's not a lot of pace and venom in the game right now.
Quill said out of this one it was too soon. They just needed him to come through those final tests to make sure he was ready for long sprints, high intensity runs that are so crucial to his play style. With that hamstring injury, you know, there's always the risk of re-injury.
And I guess to the point there have been a lot of 3-on-3s.
AK, nice ball through the lines, finds Acosta, but he can't pick out the run of Bernard Kamungo.
I feel like the last 10 minutes has been a series of 3-on-3s, 3 attackers for LA, 3 defenders back as Dallas tries to push numbers forward, but even then haven't really been able to generate any real offensive push.
Raposo was picked up as a free agent
out of Vancouver. Was that his last team, I believe?
I think he made a very brief stop somewhere in Asia in between. It didn't work out, and that's why he was a free agent. And another MLS veteran, 26-year-old out of Canada. Here's Hollingshead. He's going to the corner from Shaq Moore. 87th minute now. Martinez comes across the take with Boanga off the field.
A little confused.
The chip ball towards the back post. Header one there by Tafari. And if we know anything about Nkosi Tafari, he would love a goal in this one.
LAFC credited with 10 shots on goal. And Martin Paz credited with 7 saves so far.
Well, Boubacar did clear one off the line. Maybe they count that one.
Yeah.
Boubacar back to Martin Paz. I expect we'll see too much stoppage time here in the second half. As he whips it out wide to Shaq Moore into the feet of Musa. Flicked into the path of Acosta now, dribbling from right to left, out to Farfan, motoring forward from left back. Dinks this one towards the back post, but it's comfortable for Hugo Lloris. AK looking to make something happen defensively. Can't keep it in. It's a throw for Hollingshead. Jesus gives it away to Acosta. Back heel to Musa. Tafari able to win it back from his former teammate there.
Oh, there's a difference right there. A while ago, you know, Dallas turnover turns into a Nathan Ordaz goal. That was a giveaway, a bad giveaway for LAFC, and you got your 2 best players, Acosta and Musa, and they just don't turn it into anything.
Oh, switching the play. Biaga out to Marco Farfan. Acosta into the feet of Kamungo. Kamungo gets turned edge of the 18 inside the box now towards Musa, who redirects it but wide. Best opportunity of the half by far for Dallas.
It's a great moment, yeah. It's a quick transition moment. Bernie Kamungo finds the ball at his feet, makes a really nice little nifty turn, and finds Peter Musa, who just doesn't have his body shape right. At about 7 or 8 yards, Peter Musa just has to direct that toward goal and makes the last couple of minutes pretty interesting.
He got completely free there. The marking was optional between the LAFC center backs.
And that was always sort of the knock on Nkosi Tafari. He just sometimes provided shooters just a little too much space.
Boubacar brings it forward out to Shaq Moore. A lot of space for him. Martinez working to get back defensively. Into the feet of Musa. 1-2 out to Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore trying to get to the end line. Last touch was out off of him. And it'll be a goal kick. And I'll tell you what, Ryan Hollingshead has had a very solid game at left back.
As he does.
Usually, though, I feel like it's more at the other end of the field. And today he's been pretty much locked down against Shaq Moore.
Yeah, you know, Hollingshead's it's funny that way. He never really looks all that comfortable defending, but he usually manages to get the job done. And you're right, though. He's there for his attacking. He's really probably best suited as a wing back, which they have used him as.
5 minutes added on here in the second half. For Dallas to try and find something before they turn their attention to San Jose on Wednesday.
As it stands, Dallas just credited with the one shot on target. That was Shaq Moore in the first half. Relatively easy save there for Hugo Lloris.
Costa trying to orchestrate from deep, finds the feet of Peter Musa. Musa holding off. Segura is way far away from the LAFC back line. Here's Acosta now centrally. Ball through the lines, finds Kaique, dropped off for Patrickson, and now Acosta through tight spaces on the dribble, out to Musa, chips it up towards himself. Peter Musa still on it, finds Kaique, shot through traffic, is deflected wide for a corner.
Peter Musa had a little bit of contact in there, and just good for him, being honest, but you know that's one where Blanca would be on the turf fast.
Absolutely.
It was Tillman that stuck a knee in there.
Maybe nice guys finish last tonight. As Acosta whips across in towards the back post. It's Tarek Scott who nods it just wide. Huge opportunity there for the homegrown, hunting his first MLS goal.
The thing is, as little opportunities or as little offenses Dallas has really been able to generate tonight, they have had a few chances here. Abubakar at the back post. Peter Musa from 7 yards out. That one, Tarek Scott. Even Leggett on his turn a while ago. He's got to get those balls on frame.
On the line for Kamungo. 1-2 with Kaique. In behind, sliding tackle there. Is a good one from Abobasi defending. Yaboa in the center circle. Tillman was tripped up before that.
Unless something weird happens, FC Dallas looking at now just one win in 11 league matches. The last 11 league matches.
I was looking at Timothy Tillman. An incredible beard lineup. And compliments to the barber. His brother Malik making a big move, officially announced today. He's made his way to Bayer Leverkusen. Here is Timothy Tillman bringing it into the Dallas half. Early service towards Martinez. Martinez brought wide of goal, but he will retrieve it. And Venezuelan entry ball into the middle, finds Raposo, sliding tackle from Kaique, concedes a corner. Some good force in the tackle there. And a fist pump for the referee from Kaique.
It's a no-nonsense tackle, and you know, you do that inside the penalty area, you got to be careful, but he definitely got the ball, had position. He did sort of clean out the player afterwards, but that's one that you're going to get.
Awkward one for Lloris to deal with, way out off his line here, and he slices it. Acosta's in the area, and Lloris taking some liberties, eventually launches it clear.
I mean, it's that kind of night. Hugo Lloris is literally 40 yards out of goal. There's two FC Dallas players there. It's Bernie Kamungo and Lucho Acosta, and Lloris beats them both to it.
Musa out to Kamungo. Kamungo gets turned, and he'll drive at the back line of LAFC. Nice touch from Acosta through the legs of the defender, but runs into Segura. As the final seconds are ticking down, Eddie Segura puts one in behind for the speed of David Martinez. Again, Abubakar really tested there. 95 minutes in his legs, and he had just enough of a head start to get to the ball. Whistle in the mouth of the referee, and that will do it. LAFC pretty dominant at home, as they have been under Steve Cherundolo for many years now. Dallas unable to spark anything in the second half, and this one goes final 2-0 for the home side. Goals from Ordaz and Bouanga in the first half. And Dallas with some signs of life in the second, but nothing to really test Hugo Lloris down the stretch. We'll talk about it on the post-game show, but we thank you for joining us here on the game broadcast tonight. Myself, Ryan Figert, and Steve Davis. This one goes final LAFC 2, FC Dallas nothing from BMO Stadium.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Leggett, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Minute Stadium, it ends FC Dallas 0, LAFC 2, meaning the wait goes on for FC Dallas's first win at the home of LAFC. Hello everybody, it is the FC Dallas post-game show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Also brought to you by UMB Bank. See how UMB can help you achieve your business goals. I'm your host, Garrett Melcer, filling in for Sam Hale, and I'll be joined by tonight's broadcasters, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, just a little bit later. But first, we'll get to tonight's stats presented by UMB Bank. The possession battle was won by LAFC with 64%. In terms of shots, it was 16 for LA, including 10 on target, while it was just 10 overall shots for Dallas and just 1 on target. For corners, 7 for the home side and just 3 for FC Dallas. And for fouls, 9 for the home side, 13 for Dallas. And Dallas was the only team shown any yellow cards, 1 for Lucho Acosta, meaning he's suspended for Wednesday's match against San Jose, and also 1 for Petar Musa. Well, now we'll talk to the brains of tonight's operation. That's Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. Ryan, let's go to you first. What are your takeaways from tonight's game?
First of all, that was a very kind introduction for us, the brains of the operation. I don't know about that. But for me, uninspiring tonight. One of the most uninspiring performances of the season. They had a couple of opportunities, but not enough to speak of to try and turn around a 2-0 deficit of self-inflicted wounds. I mean, the same woes, continue in terms of concentration errors, giveaways, mistakes, and LAFC are some of the best in the business at punishing those mistakes. Bouanga, goal and an assist tonight, got the crucial moments right, did what he did in terms of winning a penalty and converting it. So it was an unfortunate one that maybe you could have seen coming in terms of the form for Dallas and LAFC getting back into form after the Club World Cup.
Yeah, we talked about it at halftime, and I don't think much changed in the second half because Dallas didn't really generate much to change the game until maybe the last 10 minutes. But, 3 big mistakes. Shaq Moore sort of changes. He didn't change the game, but his mistake, I felt like changed the momentum of the game. That one turned into a Bouanga shot that Martin Paz was able to fight off. That was a Shaq Moore giveaway. And then there was a Patterson giveaway that did turn into the Nathan Ordaz goal, the young striker for LAFC, really with a nice little spin and shot there as they turned that into instant offense, that Patterson giveaway. And then Shaq Moore on the penalty kick, taking down Bouanga. Bouanga is very clever about it. We've seen it over and over again, and it's still a little bit It's a little bit soft because of the way Bouanga sort of launches himself into Shaq Moore, but it's still a mistake. And Eric Quill had talked about how they're just having these concentration lapses. Saw it last week in giving up 2 set-piece goals against Minnesota. Saw it again today with mistakes and turnovers, and then the Shaq Moore defensive mistake, giving up the penalty kick, and that's it. That's what teams do when they're in a bad way. They're just making mistakes, and right now Dallas isn't good enough with the ball to overcome those mistakes. Every team makes mistakes, right, guys? It happens. It's the volume of mistakes, and then how many how can you overcome them? And right now, a team that can only get 1 shot on target tonight, you're just not going to be able to overcome the mistakes that turn into goals.
Yeah, I think as the weeks go by, thankfully his absence is about to end, but I think we have been realizing how much Osaze Argide was erasing mistakes for this team. I mean, he has the ability to stop, with his athleticism to make recovery runs, but also his reading of the game, just covering up mistakes, that happen in build-up with the ball, spacing mistakes defensively. I mean, he was doing so much for this team in his 14 games to start the season. Fortunately, we expect he'll be involved on Wednesday, and I think that'll be a huge shot in the arm for this team defensively, who have been really struggling. They've conceded multiple goals, I think, in 5 straight games now. Going back to the last time they had a clean sheet was the Philly game, where they bunkered in and survived with 10 men. But I think that'll be a huge shot in the arm. But even beyond the performance, which I think was far from Dallas's best of the season, but one of the biggest frustrations for me is you opt to bring Lucho Acosta off the bench. He's on yellow card warning. He's got to know he's on yellow card warning when he comes into the game, and you're looking at 3 games in 7 days where you say, okay, we'll bring him off the bench in the first game. If this is the way they're thinking, maybe it's more of a message to the player. I don't think Eric Quill is going to come out and tell us that. That's more something between he and Lucho Acosta. But if it was just pure rotation and you're hoping to get 30 minutes tonight, 90 minutes over the next 2 games, now you don't have him at all on Wednesday. And at a certain point, it comes down to him. This is the second time he's been suspended, for yellow card accumulation this season. His discipline, he's a veteran player. If you want to play for this team, you've got to stop getting yellow cards, and that's got to be Eric Quill's message to him. It's really frustrating for him to come in, have some good moments, a couple of good crosses, some good connections with Petar Musa like we've seen throughout the season. Still didn't look near his best for me, but to get that yellow card for me is just a level of, it's almost a disrespect back towards the manager, because now he doesn't even get to pick you for that game on Wednesday.
None of that is incorrect. I will say, though, it was kind of a weird yellow card. He thought a ball he was on the dribble, tried to get around the corner. He thought the ball had rolled out for a corner kick as the referee waved play on. He sort of took a couple of steps toward the referee's assistant on that side, sort of made a gesture, said something, kept going, and Alan Chapman stopped playing, showed the yellow card. So I felt like, I have to say that, not to make excuses for Lucho Acosta, but I feel like if that had been Dennis Bouanga or any number of high-profile players on a teams that are in a better way, higher-profile team, I don't think that would have been a yellow card. But all the other ones, you're right. It's the kind of yellow card where you say, yeah, that one shouldn't have counted, but you did get 4 before that.
Yeah.
It must have been the content of what he said to the referee's assistant.
I don't know how Alan Chapman could have heard it, but maybe you're right.
Yeah, well, I would think the sideline ref would have heard it, communicated it to Alan Chapman, because it wasn't the way that Lucho Acosta, he wasn't berating him or anything, but so it must have been the actual words he said. But let's talk about the player who replaced Lucho in the lineup tonight, Pedrinho. Steve, you kind of mentioned this on the broadcast. Just 17 touches, 5 of 9 passing, 2 of 3 dribbles, and 1 shot. Probably not quite what you want from a player who's being asked to be your main creative outlet, who's on the field for 60 minutes.
So we can't really say it's a big surprise, though, because we talked about it in the pregame show, how Pedrinho has just been more effective coming off the bench. Now we want to see evolution. We want to see progress. We want to see him be able to impact the game as a starter, and he just didn't. You just said it right there, 17 touches. And I forget what it was, maybe 9 touches in the first half. That we said that wasn't enough. And then for the first 15 minutes of the second half when he was involved, I thought he was a little bit more involved. But at the end of it, 60 minutes, 17 touches for a guy that you are expecting to be your creative spark. By comparison, Lucho Acosta was in there for 30 minutes, 37 touches, 20 of 25 on his passing. So you can see there's the difference. And again, it's not fair. It's not apples to oranges, Pedrinho to, a former MLS MVP, Lucho Acosta. But you'd like to see the gap between those two numbers between your sort of your ratio of quantity there. You'd like to see the gap narrow a little bit.
Ryan, you kind of touched on this when you're talking about the individual defensive errors that's hurting this team. I want to talk specifically about penalties because Dallas has now given up 7 goals off of penalties. That's the most in MLS, tied with 2 other clubs. And when you're a team that's not scoring a ton of goals, you can't be giving up a free 80% chances of goal scoring opportunities to the opposition for fouls that are often on the edge of the box. It's just got to be smarter.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of one this season. Maybe the Atlanta one that was like, egregious for me. I think even tonight was a little soft for Bouanga, but that's what Bouanga does. I mean, you've got to know. I think Shaq Moore knows, right? He knows what Bouanga's trying to do, but he gets spun around there, and many right backs across the league have been victimized in the exact same way. So I don't think it's a huge knock on Shaq Moore, but yeah, it's becoming a trend this season. They've now conceded the most penalties in the league. Martin Pass faced 8 penalties last year, so this isn't anything new, but last season he was able to save 3 of them. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to come up with a save this year except for in that shootout in the Open Cup, so he hasn't been necessarily at his best, but also it's an 80% chance every time for the attacker. Statistically, I don't think it's a huge knock on Martin that he hasn't saved one yet. It's more of a knock on the quantity that he's facing, and I think you're right that it's becoming a worrying trend.
Talking about Shaq Moore just a little bit, he's played 20 of 21 games this year.
I was going to say, man, he's got to be just burnt out. We saw this with Marco Farfan over previous seasons where they didn't have a true backup to him, and it was mostly Nico Estevez who just rolled him out week after week after week. And, every week he may be the best decision, but by the end of the season, he's no longer anywhere near, the player that he was to start the year. I think we're seeing the same thing with Shaq Moore. And, the transfer window is coming up. I would really like to see Dallas add a piece defensively for depth across the back line to spell Shaq Moore because, look, at his best early in the season, he was a really solid addition to this team. But over the past few weeks, I think we've clearly seen his level drop a little bit. And, also, he's faced some of the best wingers in the league in the last 3 games, so that's part of it. But he's definitely facing them with tired legs.
And I don't have the numbers or the lineups in front of me, but I know he played in the Red Bull game, and I believe he played in the Alta game.
No, that was when he was dealing with the hamstring tightness.
Okay, so he didn't. He wasn't in that one. So he played in 21 games this year total. Of the 23 that they played, including the Open Cup matches.
Eric Cole doesn't have a ton of choices, though, within a very, very few options at right back right now with, of course, two right backs injured in Giovanni Jesus and Enzo Newman.
And Herbert Indele.
And Herbert Indele.
It's been horrible luck. All 3 players that could fill in at right back have a torn ACL right now.
Yeah, it's very tough, and Dallas has just dealt with a lot of defensive injuries over the last few seasons and continuing in this one. Steve, you called it. I asked at halftime, when do you think we'll see changes, in particular Lucho Acosta, and you said Eric Quill typically goes to the bench in the 60th minute. That's exactly what he did, and he did a triple change. Bernard Kamungo, Tariq Scott, and Lucho Acosta all coming on. And I thought maybe that the 10 minutes right after those subs was the best FC Dallas looked outside of the first 20 minutes of the first half.
Yep, I agree. They did look, they had the ball a little bit more in the LAFC end, but they didn't really turn it into much. That might have been the time. It may have actually happened before that little jet spinning shot, but that was it for a while. So, and again, I'm not even sure whether that happened before or after the 60th minute change. So, yes, it helps when you're a little bit more lively, when you're applying a little bit of pressure, but you still got to turn it into something. And again, I go back to FC Dallas with 1 shot on target tonight, and it was sort of a meek one at that.
Another sub who I thought showed quite well is Kaique, the young defensive midfielder. 8 of 8 passing, 18 touches, 2 of 2 duels. A shot that was deflected just wide of the post, and a nice signature sliding tackle in the box that was very clean. And he does love that particular tackle. Ryan, I'm curious. We talked before about how Ramiro has some skills and organization abilities that Kaique just doesn't have right now. Are we approaching the point in the season where you just say, look, Kaique is a 19-year-old. He's very, very talented, clearly. He's got a ton of room to grow. Do you just play him just because you think, look, this guy's going to be a big piece going forward, even if he's not maybe the best option for this particular game? Where's your mind on that? I know it's going to be a different answer from Eric Quill, I'd assume.
Yeah, I think I would like to see him rotating with Patrickson because I think Patrickson has had some good moments, and I think he actually had a pretty good second half today, but he's had crucial moments that have cost Dallas 2 of the recent 3 games. I mean, San Diego giving up the penalty, and tonight, giving away the ball in an important area. I don't think he's been playing so well that he's undroppable right now, and so I'd like to see Kaique in there with Ramiro, the 2 Brazilians, communicate and organize together, because I think it's also a learning opportunity for Kaique, not to just be thrown to the wolves, but to play in there with an experienced player that can help direct him through the game, help him understand the game, and that gives also Dallas another look, right? If they want to play more of a 2 defensive midfield look, they could push Kaique as the 8 where Patrickson's playing right now and stick with that same shape, or they could move to a double pivot, which we've seen a couple of times this season. I think that's an option. I'd like to see them in there alongside each other.
Yeah, I'm right there with Ryan on this one, because I really do think Ramiro, especially as he came in tonight when he was fresh, I think he got tired, but he really does a good job of organizing the midfield, and that means he's going to be organizing Kaique, and I think that helps the young player. 100% agree also. A double pivot is what really, if he had his druthers, that's what Eric Quill wants to play, that 4-2-3-1. He said it several times. That's his preferred formation. So I really agree that I think to sort of bring those guys in and out and give Kaique some moments here and there, but maybe not just you just make the change out right now and say, nope, Kaique, now it's your position, because we're just going to start playing young guys, because there is still something to salvage out of the season. They just got to get the trend line pointed in the right direction.
I will say absolutely, but with 4 straight losses, that time is definitely fast approaching. I mean, but we did see Tyreek Scott for his longest appearance of his MLS career, so there's still been moments in the fringes over the past few weeks where Eric Quill has given those opportunities, even in a needs-must situation. I mean, he could have brought in Asiki and Sabaling and played him off the wing, but he opted to go with Tyreek Scott, who had a good chance to get his first MLS goal and I think did some decent things. He didn't look out of place. He didn't look dangerous, but he didn't look out of place at the level. So he might get more opportunities going forward. I still would like to see Diego Garcia in midfield at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen him in Major League Soccer yet, only in the Open Cup game. And even for me, Anthony Ramirez, I mean, I know he's not a physically gifted player, but anytime he's come into an MLS game, which I think he has 3 appearances, he's looked at home. Technically, he understands the space well. I think he's an option that, Eric Quill might start to turn to if you start to see more and more young players getting opportunities. There have been young players getting opportunities. They haven't really been the homegrowns necessarily. It's been your Pedrinhos, your Kaiques, your Alvaros, your Patricksons so far this season. But I think those times, if the trend line doesn't get pointing the right way, as Steve mentioned, those times might be fast approaching.
Well, Ryan, you just said it there. 4 straight losses for FC Dallas. And I suppose it's a good thing that the team plays in 3 days from now against San Jose, just so they don't dwell on it too long. But, Steve, put yourself in Eric Quill's shoes. How do you bring this team up, mentally and physically as well?
If I had the answer to that question, Garrett, maybe I would be the coach. Look, it's tough. You're 1 win in 11 matches. You just gotta keep the guys fighting. Maybe you freshen up the lineup where you can, although the options are still a little bit limited right now. But I really thought he had them in a good place mentally by the way the team came out tonight. Again, good organization, good energy, good just good spacing all over the field. The team looks good for 20 minutes, so he can clearly get them there. How does he keep them there? Mm-hmm. Because after 20 minutes tonight, it sort of fell apart. And I guess maybe the takeaway there is maybe the team's confidence is really that fragile, because I really do think that one giveaway that turned into the Bouanga shot that happened 20 plus minutes in there, it just sort of the team seemed to change after that moment. And so maybe this team's confidence, understandably, is just a little fragile right now. So, again, he can get them in a good place. Keeping them in a good place seems to be through the game seems to be the trick.
Yeah, the one place I would turn to if I was looking to motivate the team is I would actually bring Osaze Arguide in, talk to him individually and be like, hey, if you're going to come in to start this game, I need you to be the leader of this team, because he hasn't been a part of these 4 defeats. He doesn't have sort of the cumulative effect of feeling this pressure that's weighing on the team. He's obviously been eager and raring to go and get back in the 11. If he can bring some new energy back into the group, this is a player that the whole team relies on when he's out there, and I know he's got the character and the personality to be a leader in the locker room. I think he could be a catalyst for helping the team turn things around on Wednesday. Obviously, we've been waiting a long time now for him to get back out there. I think there are a few other places you could bring some new players into the lineup, but that's one that I would really look to. And And maybe you even opt to go with him and Alvaro together. I mean, Alvaro has made a couple mistakes, but he does bring a lot of energy as well. If you want to completely flip the mood and the vibe of the team, I think that's an option. It's not one I expect Eric will to turn to. He's obviously relied on Ibiaga and Abubakar as those veterans, but I think long-term that might be your center back pairing, so maybe we see it together at some point.
But you really think we might see Osaze as a starter? Because
I think center back's a weird position, right? It's not one where you usually make a substitution, and we know he's, luckily Dallas didn't have a ton of games over this stretch where he missed, it's going to be 7 weeks, I think, by Wednesday. But it's just
so important, though.
He's so important, but also backs are against the wall at this point.
It's absolutely true. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we wrap this one up?
Roll on Wednesday. I'm hoping that Dallas can respond tonight. Obviously, 4 straight defeats, but they've been able to find responses against adversity on the road, and that's the one thing that we can cling to heading into San Jose on Wednesday.
Yeah, got to talk to Pedrinho and make him understand that, he's got tell him he's got 60 minutes. Don't pace yourself. Go out there, make an impact, demand the ball, find the game, because he's got to be that creative spark. He's going to have to start again on Wednesday now with Lucho Acosta suspended.
And maybe one other glimmer of hope is San Jose just got shelled 4-1 in Minnesota, so maybe their tails will be between their legs coming into Wednesday as well.
We can only hope. Well, FC Dallas will stay and train in California for the next few days as they take on San Jose Earthquakes on Wednesday, July 16th at 9:30 p.m. You can listen to all the action from that one right here on the FC Dallas Radio Network, beginning at 9:15 p.m. for the pregame show Wednesday night. That'll do it for tonight's postgame show. For our engineer, Barry Walters, for Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, I've been Garrett Melcer. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
The preceding broadcast has been a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our